Hello, and welcome to the Saladcast on Sunday, the 6th of December, 2015. I'm your host, Dan Train. Joining me today, Zachary Burgess.
Grapevine. The grapevine.
I heard it through the grapevine.
Yeah.
The grapevine.
I heard it through the grapevine. What game has a character called Ein in it? Isn't there one?
Well, are
Like
you
an
talking about
RPG
the
of some
dog
kind?
from the dog from
Ike.
Cowboy Bebop?
Oh no, yeah, I think I am actually. Yes, that is
That's
actually
just
what I'm thinking.
Ein just means one in Japanese.
Yeah, I know.
Oh,
So-
that one.
Yeah.
No,
So,
in German, not in Japanese.
oh yeah,
It's
yeah.
in Japanese.
It's ish. Yeah. Sorry, wrong one. So why is it one? Why do they use German? There's no German thing to do with. Or I don't. There's some
Bebop.
reason why he's called Ein, right? Because he's the data dog, right?
There's no
Data dog.
There's no way
Data
to
dog.
tell if they. That's a sort of classic thing in animes, isn't it? There's no way to tell if it's all in Japanese, but are they Japanese?
Yeah, well-
Like sometimes they're not, and they just talk Japanese.
Well, they
Yeah,
eat
yeah.
like quite a lot of noodles and stuff. But I mean, I suppose that doesn't.
That
mean
could just be
anything,
convenient
so-
space food, though.
That's true.
But the Japanese do like their German, though. In fairness,
That's true.
they do like There's a lot of like historical sort of World War-esque
Well, that's just because
anime
World
that
War's a
they
convenient
Yeah.
thing to base things off, as always.
and they sort of end up coming up with an odd mismatch of like Allied forces and German style.
Oh, they're saying
To represent-
it might be short for Einstein because he's so clever.
Ah, of course.
But I don't know about that.
Ein.
Ein.
Because he's the first data dog.
Now that I think about it, doesn't Einstein just basically mean one mug?
That's true. Oh dear. Because everything in German is.
Is that
Albert one mug.
Is that like a description of how much coffee you can drink, or like how many beers you have before he's under the table?
Yeah,
It's like,
exactly.
it only takes one mug for you to convince him of relativity.
Apparently, I read the other day that he said his number one idea was relativity, and his number two idea was putting an egg in with the soup or something, so that when you're done, you don't waste two pans and you have like a nicely done egg as well as the soup or something like that. I'm not sure that's that
possible.
good an idea.
That's kind of a lot of one pot meals. I think sort of
Yeah.
randomly throw like an egg in, don't they?
He
That's
thought
sort of
that, and he was
genius,
like,
except for
I'm a
like why,
genius.
like, I mean, sure, if you want a boiled egg at some point in the future, I guess.
That's what he's
I'm a
saying.
genius.
Apparently, he had boiled egg along with like soupy meals quite a lot. So
Well, I mean, you wouldn't necessarily have to have it at the same time.
No,
like,
you
put it
could
in
keep it for
put it in the
later.
fridge and have it
No.
for a sandwich later or something.
see, it is a genius idea.
Except it'd be kind of inconvenient because you'd have to like fish it out of the soup and then probably wash it off if you were going to keep it for any amount of
Well, it
time.
depends, yeah. Unless you want that slight soupy flavouring to
Yeah.
make it slightly less boring.
Well, that's the other question: is does any of the soup flavour penetrate the egg?
It's
while
a good
cooking?
question.
Is it? Yeah. What you mean, like pickling an egg, where
Yeah.
the pickle gets into the egg?
Yeah, but pickle is like a really strong vinegary. Well, it is vinegar, isn't it?
And also, you don't pickle it with the shell on usually.
Oh right, you reckon he was cooking
Well,
it with the
yes.
shit? Oh, I thought
Yeah.
he was
Like
just
boiling
cracking.
an egg, apart from inside the
Well, I
soup.
thought he was just cracking it
That's the
open and like
idea.
poaching it.
No, I don't think he just puts it in. I think it's self-contained within its shell. I don't think he like puts it into the soup because otherwise it would just be adding to the soup.
Egg soup.
wouldn't it? Egg soup, yeah. I don't know what that would be like.
Probably
Poaching.
just fine, right?
I don't like poached eggs. What's the deal with poaching eggs?
Really?
I don't know.
Oh, poached
No.
eggs are nice.
They're not really that different from boiled eggs.
You sort of put them with hollandaise sauce on a nice bit of bread. delicious.
Maybe I need to give them another try. I think I got put off by probably by McDonald's disgusting breakfast when I was
Yeah,
like 7
those
or
not
something.
egg
Well,
eggs.
they're not-
Yeah. Oh, I think my granddad made the
They are
poached
ac-
ones. I didn't like it or something. for
Aren't they
breakfast.
actually eggs now? The McDonald's one, they just put them in those like weird cups so they form a perfect sort of
Exact putt
Cylinder
shape.
shape.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I had McDonald's breakfast the other day and it was actually quite nice, but I didn't go for the egg one. They had different alternatives, including the bacon roll, and there was like a sausage. You know the sausage patty that goes with the egg in the McMuffin or whatever it is?
Oh yeah.
They had that in something
The
else.
burger style sausage.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like it's sausage meat, but it's in a burger patty. Yeah,
A sausage
but
patty.
they had something similar to that, more burgery, but just with that and stuff, and that was nice.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Basically, what you want is McDonald's to just have their normal menu in the mornings. Just
I
have a
know.
quarter
But you
pounder.
can't even get that, can you? There's that famous scene
No.
in that movie, but I would be the opposite. I can't remember the movie, but there's one where he absolutely freaks out because he's 1 minute late for the breakfast, and they flip the signs over and he can't get the breakfast, and they're like, "But it's right there behind you. Just give it to me." And they're like, "No, sir." And then he totally freaks out. But I would be like, "No, give me a quarter pound." It's freaking McDonald's. I think 24-hour ones must do. No, do they? I mean, what's the point of having a
point,
McDonald's
actually.
that's
Yeah, do
open
they?
24 hours and then you can only get like certain things at certain times? Like, when do they start serving the breakfast? Like 4 a.m. or something? Or
I guess, yeah. That's a good question.
there's one down the street from me, but obviously I've never been there since past like normal times. One that's 24 hours. I mean,
like perhaps like doing the breakfast for like business reasons makes a bit of sense, right? You know, they might stop doing breakfast type foods like just because not many people order breakfast at this point in the day. But then I don't know, like, do they actually have to swap equipment around that stops them from making the regular menu, or
probably they make it as slick as possible.
or are the staff not trained so they can't? Oh, I'm not trained to use the
For this shift,
the egg shaper.
For the egg poacher thing. Yeah, I imagine they make it simple enough to... I don't know, though. They probably have to train everyone and everything, just in case.
Yeah. You'd think. It's like, no, I'm only on packaging. I'm only allowed to close the boxes.
You get a little gold star for that if you've been doing that for 10 years or whatever, closing boxes.
Or was it? Or I'm only on lettuce sculpting.
The
burger comes partially formed to me, and I try and sculpt the lettuce so it's within the bounds of the burger, of
They're
which
not very
nobody has
good at
really
that.
achieved this.
Yeah, no one's ever succeeded. No gold stars for that.
Yeah. Very seldom. Only the ones they're taking photos of. Although apparently those aren't anything like the actual burgers, the ones they take photos of.
No, of course not. I mean, the classic bullshot technique is to make a burger that's like half the size.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so the lettuce looks huge.
Yeah, and the burger looks super beefy. But of course, the giveaway is the sesame seeds because they look massive.
Yeah, they look giant. It's really bizarre. Yeah.
I suppose if you're being really picky, you'd look at that little like bit of condensation they'll put on the side of the tomato slices or whatever, that glisten, and be all like, "Oh, that's
plastic
actually
spray."
just a solid, yeah."
Yeah, it's weird. The weird world of fast food bullshit photos.
Food bullshots.
I wonder if it's the same company that... Do you think they do... There's a special company that does that? Or do you think, like, McDonald's have an in-house department? Or do you think, like, Burger King is one day and McDonald's the other day or something?
You know what? I reckon they both have agencies. I don't reckon they're part of the company. Because I'm not sure they'd have quite enough to do to have their own department.
Yeah, I mean, maybe McDonald's, but they're huge. Maybe they have one department that does it internationally or something for every single...
It's probably
Maybe, but then that international office would have to be able to get all the burgers in that are being made across the entire world. So they'd need the biggest, most extravagant version of a McDonald's kitchen.
That's true.
It's just a sub part of TV advertisement companies, I'm sure. They probably just, it's like, while you're doing the TV ads, also take an actual nice photo of this burger as well.
I do know of a company in Norwich whose primary role is to basically take branding photos of products for supermarkets.
Well, that's supermarkets, though. They need a lot of pictures of stuff, not just
TV. Yeah, it's one of those things, like, they need to take the pictures, don't need to put them up on their websites now, and to track them that way. So they get these agencies in to do it all for them.
I should probably know more about this, given I work in an advertising agency. I don't go down the end of the office that has the production people that do the TV adverts and stuff.
Ooh, they actually do that stuff for you.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, it's called Cream with a K.
Cream.
Yeah, they make various TV adverts, but I don't. So I don't. I come in late on most days, but on a Monday they have a company meeting type thing, not like town hall thing, and often they'll play their latest TV advert. But like don't turn up most of the time, and also it's insanely loud. For some reason they have their sound system turned out really high in there. So it's like
advertising.
Yeah, exactly. Because usually I don't
Buy our shit.
I don't see TV advertising much, and like so, and usually I'm deliberately not paying attention to it when it's on. So when it's like, look at this advert, I'm like, and my brain is literally it's trying to tell me not to watch it while it's being blasted in my face.
Well, you see, I think that's the problem with, like, at least with maybe it's a thing as you get older, I guess, but like that sort of that mix that adverts have on TV, right?
Yeah.
That sort of super compressed, super loud, sound mix. That just makes my brain go, get away.
Yeah,
there's
exactly.
like there's like I have a gut reaction to it. That's just like, no.
Yeah, imagine if you countered the loudness wars by just having like a nice wide dynamic range. So you thought, hang on, is this the show starting again? And had like quiet moments in your advert. That would be really weird.
I don't know if you really dramatized George Clooney selling you an espresso machine. Just imagine how freaky that would be, especially if the film you were watching at the time had George Clooney in it. You're in the middle of watching Up in the Air, say, and then he's like just quite casually having a coffee and then just smiles at the camera, and you're just like, this film's taken an odd direction.
Yeah, I thought this was about him firing people, but no, it's about him drinking coffee. I want that coffee machine.
Product placement's got a little dubious in these films.
Exactly. It's going a bit far. Oh, I've been enjoying, like, I wasn't sure about this season of South Park at first, but I've been enjoying the latest episodes because it's kind of all about adverts and how they're taking over the world.
I see they've been aggressively tweeting that, and I'm guessing that's part of the joke.
Probably, yeah. Like, it's probably
the fact that they've been marketing this episode about marketing so aggressively. I haven't actually watched any of the new season.
But it's got one part of the joke is that Jimmy has a special ability that he can tell the difference between a piece of a real news article and an advert, and no one else can do it. He's the only one who can figure out the difference. And they test him, like, and he's going, that's an ad, that's real news, that's, oh wait, no, that's actually an advert for cat food. No, yeah. It's really cool. I know this as because the episode's called like sponsored content, and the other day I had to put those fucking Taboola, for swearing, but the Taboola adverts into I-100. You know Taboola? They like provide sponsored links things. So it's like
yes, I've seen that because I've noticed, like, I don't know how much you've been if you guys have been using Edge much or something, but Edge has that sort of dashboard page,
right? Like,
and MSN,
Edge,
for instance, when you fire up IE. No, Edge the browser. Yeah.
Oh, right. No, I haven't used it.
It's like, because that does, but I think that has like the MSN slider on it. And even if you fire up IE, like for, some stuff you need to do with IE.
Yeah.
And, my one still launches into MSN. You see the slider, like, at least on those, like, they put into their main news slider every now and then, like, a few articles, and you can see a tiny little writing underneath that's like provided by Taboola or something.
Right. There you go. Taking over the world,
or clickbait. I don't know.
Yeah,
they often have very obvious names. It's like
that'd be great if they were called clickbait. That would be brilliant.
Yeah,
ad stream. Yeah,
this is a clickbait article. Just be out there. Just just say it. It's like, yeah, we know this is shit, but you're gonna read it anyway.
I love how the Onion's BuzzFeed parody is called Clickhole. Have you ever been on that? It's really funny. It's really well made. Yeah.
Did we talk about on the podcast about Clickbait Robot before?
Yeah.
That was a good one. That's a good one. There's a Twitter feed called Clickbait Robot. Go check it out.
Okay.
It just makes up garbage, like the most, like, really ridiculous things. Like the good one from the other day was like Why I Quit Club Penguin by Gary Barlow. Or 95 times that George Osborne has looked like bees. Really things that make no sense whatsoever, but they're like following the same pattern as clickbait articles.
Is it just one of those like Markov chain things? Have you ever tried that where you feed in, like, you give it a corpus, like you feed in all the headlines over the past year or whatever, and then it's actually quite good at creating new ones just using machine learning.
Huh.
Yeah, Markov chains, pretty cool.
Oh yeah, maybe it's something similar. Yeah, it's really dumb. It is quite funny just to like come up and see that on your feed every now and then. It's super dumb.
You know what else is super dumb?
What is super dumb?
Fucking Chrome.
Well, yeah, Chrome is frequently super dumb.
Why? What's it done now?
They fucking updated
Yeah.
to swap when you right click an image, open image new tab to the top, and then save image underneath it, whereas they were the other way around before.
They moved it.
So my muscle memory is completely fucked now, and I'm constantly opening images in new tabs instead of saving them.
I always thought save was in the middle.
No, it was always at the top on just images.
Yeah,
If you were right clicking a link, it's in like further down, like linked image rather.
Hey, I just had a big, the biggest problem I've had with Chrome recently was my inability to close tabs, which I think we've talked about before, where it would just crash the whole browser.
Or your mouse's tendency to open like 3 tabs.
Oh, yeah, that's my mouse's problem. Yeah, if I middle click a link, it will open like 4 of them.
Oh, that's quite
bad.
But
the thing about the changing of the context menu is like they probably have been like taking data forever and been like, oh, this option is used more than this option, so we can swap them around because that's the advantage of usability. But that fucks everyone equally because both sides have had their muscle memory trained to whichever one it was, and now they're both opposite.
It's kind of one of those things like, it's one of those things like, yeah, I get the ideas that people go through about this sort of analysis, and it's like, oh, we should put the most commonly used stuff at the top, right? But it's then, when you've been doing it for so long, moving things is a bad idea. Yeah. I'm looking at you, Office Ribbon. It's like, as much as I liked you, and you're actually somewhat more discoverable and more sensible in some ways, most people hate you because you can't find anything in it because you're not used to where everything went. It's that kind of problem.
Yeah. So it's like...
And that's what most people complain about mobile UIs, right? It's because
because it's just like buttons that have no labels and stuff.
Yeah, it's the Wild West of garbage interface.
Yeah,
so it's like... That's the first problem with it, that they've swapped them both so everyone's equally fucked. But the second problem with it is they seem to have forgotten what the word context means in the context of context menu.
Right?
Because say you've right-clicked on an image and you've opened it in a new tab, so you've just got a tab with an image in, and the address bar ends in .jpeg. It's just a JPEG, but it's got a new tab. Right-click that image, the top menu option is still open in a new tab. So you just right-click it and open it, and it just duplicates it. And it's like, context menu, that means get rid of that, because that's not actually useful any longer.
Yeah, that's pretty dumb.
Well, no, that's true. It's just rendered that image into a blank HTML page in order to render it, and then it has exactly the same thing as everything else. So that's why that happens, but it's pretty dumb.
I mean, the counter-argument to paradigms like that is that, if you right-click and it shows something different and it's not what you expect, even regardless of context, then that's what, because it's different, you go, oh, I don't know what I'm doing now.
Or you can just grey it out so you can't click it when it's in a tab by itself already. Either of those options would be nice. So yeah, I've been annoyed for like a couple of weeks where it's just like I'm opening new tabs all the time. I might just have to start drag-dropping into a desktop folder or something.
Is there not a keyboard shortcut for just say...
I don't know, because it would have to be contextual to under the mouse.
Yeah, I suppose that wouldn't work. Yeah. Or you'd have to select it somehow, which is pretty awkward in itself.
It's just annoying. Boo, Google.
Can't you just drag the image onto your desktop or wherever you want it?
Well, that's what I'm thinking of starting to do, but that's like, then I have to not have it maximised.
Yeah, it does work.
I suppose it's fine if you've got 2 monitors, right? You just drag to the other one.
Yeah, but then that's really far away. Then you're dragging like miles.
What about the Apple solution would be long click, right? Or if they had touch sensitive words, hard click that image.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it is now the long click is now the hard click in the newer phones that have the 3D touch or so called, which just has force sensitive touch or whatever.
Click it harder.
Is it actually force sensitive? Right,
yeah. So if you press hard,
but
quickly, yeah.
Old touchpads used to be able to do that because they worked on the theory of how much surface area your finger was actually
I don't think it uses
the
the same. I don't think it's the same technology. I think it's a different technology to achieve the same sort of effect. Pretty sure
because that stuff used to be around years and years ago, and that's actually quite a clever solution to the problem.
Totally.
If there's more surface area on the pad, it's like you can assume your finger is pressing harder.
I think
of course that falls down slightly when you have people with giant fingers, but
yeah, I think they actually have. I think, some kind of pressure sensitivity thing, and it has a weird haptic feedback. Little vibrator pod, whatever, that gives you different feedback to just the normal phone vibration. Taptic engine.
Oh yeah. Oh, that thing that's in the watch.
Yeah, exactly. That's in the phone or whatever. I haven't tried it actually. I think someone I know's got a. Oh no, they've probably got a 6 Plus or whatever. It's the 6S that has the Force thing in it. The new one. Yeah.
The new.
News.
Dan's been in Morocco.
That's not news.
Have.
Like no news.
I have. I was on holiday, not playing video
That's
games.
not news for this podcast.
Well, I don't know, unless you can tell us what's the
game scene in Morocco.
Yeah, exactly. What's going on in Morocco? What are the arcades like in Morocco? Who's the DDR champion?
I saw one like arcade machine in an old back alley or something that was like a Street Fighter or something like that. So that's about all I managed to see. I didn't see many people playing DSs or anything like that around. In fact,
you didn't get any street passes.
No, exactly.
Sweet Moroccan street pass.
Yeah, I
That's
don't think it is.
Game, the street pass. There's like it recalls the country of every street pass, so
man.
you can get achievements for getting to so many different countries.
Maybe that's the only reason I should get a DS for when I go to Japan, right? I'll just bring a DS and get all those sweet Japanese street passes.
Yeah, but
You definitely will.
You'd never be able to stop doing it because it can only store 10 at once, so you'd have to be constantly checking it.
10 a day, I'm happy with that. I get like 100 street passes. More than I'll ever get. So what's Morocco?
Well, it's a country in northern Africa.
Morocco.
Yeah. No, it's cool. So I went to Marrakesh, which is like the big city. I don't know if it's the capital. I don't think it probably isn't. Anyway, it's like a medieval walled city with a new city outside or whatever. But the medieval walled city is all pretty much, the same streets that it was, i.e. really, really narrow and tiny and Warren-like and impossible to find your way around. And you can't really use a map because there's people there going, hey, I will show you where to go. Come with me. I'll walk you completely the wrong way and then ask you for money. So that's really annoying. Yeah, but it's super busy. Yeah, you get hassled constantly, which is very irritating. I think that happens in less...
Well, I don't know. Most tourist destinations have some level of that, right? Because it's like in Venice, you can't go 2 feet without someone going, gondola, gondola.
That's true, but yeah, this is a little bit more pushy than that, I think. Anyway, well, you get that sort of in Cambridge that you can like come on the come. Do you want to come on a punt or whatever? But it's a bit more polite than and a bit less dodgy. It was slightly dodgy, to be honest, especially because
all right, darling, want a punt?
Yeah, what a punt. I was with 2 girls, so it was slightly more difficult, but super nice food, really pretty. It was 24, 25 degrees or something, even though it was November, and like cloudless skies. And then we spent like 2 days in Essaouira, which is on the coast, which is a bit more relaxed because it's smaller and just had a beach and shit. It was nice, and nice fish, obviously, fresh fish from the Atlantic Ocean. Oh yeah.
Fish.
Yeah, so it was cool. And I have returned.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Where it is actually not as cold as it really should be.
No, it's not.
Man, it's
like
sucking.
I gather
it's so fucking hot in my room all the time.
I think it was
like it's November.
It was coldest when I was away in the heat or whatever. I think that
we had a very brief spell of it actually being a little bit chilly.
But now it's like, what's going on? People complaining that it's cold.
December now, and it's like I don't know. My memories of November, like especially bonfire nights or whatever as a kid.
Yeah, it
was always the coldest thing imaginable, even though there's a bonfire.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I think we're going to pay for it though, because I think it's going to be fucking ice and snow in March or something. You know how that happens.
Be unusual. That has happened. Yeah.
Anyway,
snow in April once.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. We had a weird.
Not even that uncommon, really.
Yeah.
Is it not?
Not really.
I mean, not that much though. Most of the time, obviously.
It's weird. April feels like in my mind, April is cold and May is really hot. I don't know what happens then. It flips over. It flips exactly so that it's fucking boiling when you go to take exams or something at like the end of May.
Yes.
Yeah, that is the hottest possible time. Is it May? Oh, you do exams? Yeah. Or is it June?
It's more like
No.
June usually.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it varies. Yeah, May to June. But yes, I remember that well. It's quite nice actually. Sometimes when you used to do exams and they used to put you in like the sports centre or something because it's like
Large open room that's usually cold.
Yeah, and has pretty decent air conditioning normally.
Relatively.
Well, it's usually got filled with a lot of active hot bodies. I suppose the aircon needs to be pretty good, or at least functioning.
Oh, dear. Indeed. Any kitchen news?
Yeah.
No.
Oh no, my light's just flickered.
No.
I'm still having that.
No kitchen news.
I had my bitching about Chrome. That was my
your
internet bitching.
Okay. We need something that rhymes with bitching for the internet.
That is like the weakest
Twitching bitching?
No. Twitching? How does that relate to the internet?
Because Twitch, I don't know.
Okay. If it was specifically complaining about streaming online video services aimed at gamers, then maybe.
Then it could be twitching bitching, but otherwise, I'm not sure Zach's much of a bird watcher. So it's...
It'd be blinking bitching.
Apart from that pheasant, of course.
Apart from that pheasant, yeah.
Well, in that case, we might have to move on to actual news.
Yes.
News! What's going on?
It's official. I will be going to Japan, by the way. That's news.
What?
Okay.
Oh,
In
it's
May of
on.
next year.
Sweet.
It's on. It's official.
Are you going to squeeze in some gaming-related visits alongside the more
Oh, I see if I could
standard
sneak
stuff?
into Super Potato. I don't know.
Sweet.
It probably might be unavoidable if we end up accidentally, on purpose, walking through Akihabara.
Well, these things happen.
Yeah. It's going to be crazy. I'm going to get those sweet Japanese street passes. I don't know. This is part of the thing, right? I don't actually have a portable gaming machine. But I'm thinking I might have to
Not
get
yet.
one for the flight or something.
Yeah. It's going to be a long flight.
Because, yeah. I don't know. I have tried to use my iPads and stuff for, it was a long time ago now when last time I did a long flight. But it's like, I don't know, after a while an iPad doesn't really cut it. I probably need to be doing something, more proper gaming.
You might be able to play XCOM 2 on an iPad. I don't know if they'll release that. Oh,
Probably not in time,
no, probably not.
if at all in time. I'm probably up for another XCOM though. I was listening, I was thinking about Massive Chalice because the soundtrack came on while I was doing some work the other day, and it's like, man, this game was actually pretty good, but it wasn't as good as XCOM. Oh yeah, XCOM 2 is nearly out.
Well,
Maybe.
Well, it's early next year, isn't it? Not early, but
Yeah.
theoretically early next year.
yeah.
Still plenty of time to delay it.
I was about to say, have we actually got a date for it, or
I think
They said
there is one.
March-ish or something.
Marchish?
I don't even remember. I saw it and I was like, that's way too far away to care about.
February 5th. So that's not long at all.
So March.
Wait, you reckon it's going to have at least another 30 days delay?
Yeah, probably. I don't feel like anything that they've said is coming out in February of next year is actually going to come out in February. There's been several things that are in that time zone. It's like, no one releases in February.
Well, XCOM 2 was
March.
originally November, so they've obviously delayed it already to do polish on that. So maybe they'll delay it again, or maybe it will come out on the 5th of February.
So news on this 20... What day is it? It's...
I already said...
You're getting ahead of yourself
Yeah, I know.
slightly there.
My note, I got confused because I was about to read the news on, and it's like, wait, hang on. I originally started this note on the 25th of November.
So let's see.
That confused me for a second.
What have I got
So
here?
I haven't got a lot, to be honest. I've got some pants news.
Okay, I've got a few things here.
Almost literally pants news.
Let's listen to the
Away,
pants.
Extreme 3 will not be leaving Japan.
Well, that makes sense after that vote where they fucked up all the characters.
Well, they started a bit, and they didn't help themselves here, because they started a little bit of controversy by saying, yes, it won't be leaving Japan because of the way girls are represented in the West or something. Like there was like it wouldn't be it wouldn't make cultural sense or something. Like, and they were just like, wait, what are you talking about? We like boobs, was basically the internet's reaction.
Yes, but you don't like
Right.
specifically the kinds of boobs that Japan likes.
Yeah, I guess.
It's like that's basically Japan saying we're all perverts, which is actually a good thing for everyone else. It's like no one else should be pissed off about that. People in Japan should be pissed off about that.
yeah, in a way. it was a bit strange, but yeah, that's still not happening. And I think I forget who publishes Team Ninja's stuff. Maybe it's Tecmo. I don't know. Someone had to come out and say, yes, this individual's remarks were not representative of the company.
Yeah, naturally.
But still, sexism, I think, was how that press release went or something.
It doesn't really make any sense or... Oh, Christ. Okay, well, whatever.
It also is slightly worrying that game had fans. I don't know. It's not really a game.
No, exactly. It's like a really elaborate booby simulator.
Press R to zoom.
Yeah. So there's that.
Speaking of R...
Great transition.
Republic Commando. Anyone remember that?
I do, and
No?
that was quite fun. I enjoyed that game.
That's one of the better Star Wars games.
Like
if
the
you ask me.
concept of it. Yeah, it's a bit of a shame it had to be set in prequel times, but I guess that's the only way.
I think, was that before or after Metroid Prime? Because it did the visor thing, right?
It was around the same
Like,
time, I think.
Yeah, it had that sort of like in-helmet look to it.
It did, yeah.
And was kind of cool. But finally, a group of people have taken it upon themselves to mod it in order so it will work on modern PCs, and they've done some graphics enhancements while they were there, like fixing bump maps and upping the resolution so it will run in 4K, giving your character legs.
Right, cool.
So there you go. You can actually play this game again.
It wasn't that good, to be honest. It got to the point where fighting the battle droids was a bit repetitive, and
it was one of those B-tier games in an age where B-tier games were quite frequent. But you know, I'm quite partial to a B-tier game, so it's fine by me.
It's fun. Right, what have I got here news-wise?
So Steam, right? This news actually came out before the Steam sale happened, the Black Friday nonsense. Anyone get anything good in Black Friday?
No, I basically ignored it.
In
Christmas
general,
is coming, god damn it.
I mean, well, yeah, but this is the whole point, right? You're supposed to use Black Friday in order to buy people Christmas presents.
It's not how that works on Steam.
Get it on the day.
Well,
clearly, that's how it's done. So we do it.
Well, yes, for Steam game sales, yes, of course it is. But for normal presents, you're supposed to at least try, I guess, because deals. So the news came out before Black Friday happened that the Steam sales are set to change thanks to a leaked memo from Steam to its publishers, I suppose. That, you know, they're dropping, they've basically dropped the concept of the daily bargains, in that while the sale is on, the sale price is the sale price. So there's no more trying to game those 4-hour flash deals or whatever.
There's no more last-minute rush, in other words.
No.
Where all the old deals come back for the last day and everyone gets fucked.
So the way the memo was written is it makes it sound like when you're on Steam, for instance, you give Valve, for instance, a range of discounts. Like you say, this is our this is the minimum discount we want to give, and this is our sale discount.
I've heard about that before.
Yeah, and if and during these big sales, for instance, Valve had the discretion to be able to say, okay, for some of it we're going to put it at lower than max rate, and then for the daily deals we'll do the max rate, say. But the memo basically said that no, actually this is going to change. So during the duration of one of our big sales, it will always be at your max approved discount rate. So I guess the interesting thing now is, does that mean publishers are just going to put their max discount lower? And does that mean that consumers aren't going to get so good of a deal? But in actual fact, are consumers just winning because of the fact you no longer have to rush or time your purchases or feel that pressure of being like, oh shit, do I get this? There's only 10 minutes left. Oh!
What do you think then? I don't know.
I mean, it's all kind of unknown. I mean, looking at those, I didn't think the sale was amazing. The Black Friday one. I didn't
never
stumble
are
upon any.
It's like the big one.
The Christmas one, yeah.
Or the summer one's okay.
Sale,
yeah.
Someone can be fine, yeah. But I didn't spot anything that was super amazing. Half price off Witcher 3, I suppose, was a reasonably good deal, given that game is normally £50 or something, and they dropped it to 25. That's not terrible. Metal Gear had a tenner off.
No, that's good.
So it was all right. It's all right. I'm not sure there's a great list of games on there that I'm really after at the moment, which perhaps nullifies it a little bit. I was more interested in at the moment. My list is kind of consisting mostly of indie games and stuff like that, and most of the ones of those I was after were only very subtly discounted, like that sort of token 33% gesture. I don't know. It's where's my 50s? Where's my 75s? Yeah.
And then that makes those indie games too cheap. They don't make any money in that. Where it's this indie game is now £3.
Yeah, but it will get bought for that one. It's one of obviously it's a balancing act with sales and stuff like that, and I don't know. It didn't feel as impressive, but I guess it's because it's only a mini sale as opposed to the big sale. So we shall see. Yet to be proven.
That memo tells you about their pricing plan. What it doesn't tell you about is what dumb bullshit are they going to link into the sale this time.
Oh, please no more clickers. TV clicker was no fun.
No.
Doorbell.
Ding dong.
You guys carry on without me.
Well,
okay.
What news have you got, Dan? Because I've got a bit of news that's probably more important for Rob.
Okay, well, let's see. What have I got here that we... Well, anyway, Final Fantasy VII remake footage. Did you
Damn it, that's the bit I was talking about. Yeah. You can't talk about that without Rob.
All right, well, we can skip that then. Psychonauts 2, goddammit. There's a crowdfunding
for
effort. As well. It's not a Kickstarter, but it's a FIG campaign.
Yeah, it's a FIG.
Right. So,
which means it's much more likely to happen, I guess.
Yeah, and it's only for a third of the funding of the game. But they are asking for all the money they got for Broken Age. Which I think was quite a bit.
Well, I mean, surely they should just, by default, they should just start with $1 million, because Notch said he would.
Yeah, I know. He said he would. And he could now, quite easily.
Yeah, exactly.
Why he doesn't, but it's 3.3
He could just fund the whole thing.
Yeah, he could easily, and he wouldn't even break a sweat. So I don't know why he just wants to sit in his stupid house that he was competing with frickin', I don't know, Jay-Z to buy or whatever in Hollywood and not make any cool games. But there you go. Anyway, Psychonauts. That's cool because he's right. I mean, in the video, he's like, we made Broken Age because no publishers were funding and making adventure games, and we thought it'd be cool to do one in the modern time or whatever. Fair enough, and they did. But he's kind of right, and I hadn't even noticed that people aren't making third-person action platformer thingy games anymore either. So he's let's do one of those.
They sort of got merged into third-person combat games. It's platforming became a subset of the
if you look at Tomb Raider or something. Yeah, it kind of happened.
God of War and Devil May Cry.
Yeah, but Devil May Cry is sort of different, isn't it, to those games? That has a continuation from back then, doesn't it? But I guess once Gears of War and then Uncharted took Tomb Raider and put it into Gears of War or whatever, so it was a platformer plus shooting. I guess Tomb Raider always had shooting, but it was shit.
Well, I don't know about Gears of War having platforming elements.
No, I'm not saying it did. I'm saying that they took the part from Gears of War of the third-person shooting and put that into... I'm not saying Gears of War has any platforming. It's the other way. Yeah. I'm just saying that, that's where that came from, I guess. So you get to the point where it's all fused into a thing that's basically a first-person shooter, although it's in third person, and now it happens to have the platforming in it. That's a long way from the platforming.
Everyone realised that platforming was not really that good a mechanic for third person anyway, unless it was a very specifically designed game for it. It's those games that did include it. It was now we're kind of automating the platforming to make it easier because it's just bullshit otherwise.
Yeah, that's true. So, but of course, Psychonauts always blended it with like kind of an adventure game with dialogue choices and shit and jokes.
Well, more the jokes, not that much adventure. I mean, there wasn't really choices or anything exactly.
No,
and there was barely an overworld.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll expand on that or shrink it. The hub world type thing compared to the.
I was thinking about it, and it's like really, I think. It's kind of dumb, but I think what I actually want to have Psychonauts 2 would almost be basically a remake of the original, but like with an expansion pack. It's just like you want all the cool stuff that they originally had, because basically they're never going to top the Milkman level.
Right. Yeah.
They've already made the best level ever.
Yeah. Well, I'll give it a go.
Sorry about that. Emergency. Well, mum drop in to talk about various relatives having babies.
All right.
There we go.
We're talking about Psychonauts too.
Oh, okay.
What is your opinion?
Well, I did hear your little bit about saying they can't beat the milkman, and it's like, yeah, they will struggle to beat the milkman.
Yeah, that's what I said. They just
he has to deliver the milk.
It's like what Psychonauts 2 should be is basically 1 plus the expansion pack. So they should just remake the whole of 1, but just add more levels.
Well, they were saying that 1 like only sold 500,000 copies, but then since recent times and Steam and everything, it sold another 1 million. So it sold more since like 2010, double
so it did get,
since 2010. And humble bundles and stuff.
I'm trying to think, 'cause the PC version came quite late, didn't it? It wasn't originally released on PC, and
I
then
don't
they
think
redid
it was.
that.
Yeah. Oh no, maybe it was
not that long ago.
I remember there being a PC Gamer
review.
review.
No, I don't think it was.
Oh, maybe. Oh, maybe because they redid it for Steam at least. Maybe it didn't work on modern machines. And they like tinkered with it to get it running.
I think that's true. I think there must have been an original release because I remember reading the review in PC Gamer in a physical paper magazine, which must have been a long time ago.
All right, fair enough then. Yep. It's weirdly. I mean, I played Psychonauts quite late. I think I played it
apparently a lot of people
360s.
did. Yeah.
Oh, I played the original Xbox version, but I played it after the 360s launch or something. So I was quite late to the Psychonauts party, but I might have actually played it on my 360. I can't remember. It was one of those games. It's actually one of those things that are conceptually better than the actual game itself. I think actually gameplay wise, it was a little bit flawed. It doesn't quite work in places.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's something they can probably improve on at this point.
Yeah,
I would have thought.
And I guess but the production wasn't quite there. It wasn't quite top of their top tier stuff. But man, that concept and some of the jokes, some of the humor, and the milkman, goddammit, right up there. Just needed to be a little bit of a better game behind it, but it's quality stuff. It's one of those things that I guess they never got the ability to make a sequel because publishers and stuff like that were all like, yeah, but we didn't make any money. What's the point of making another one?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Who knows?
So now let's go back to
None
the
of their games make that much
that
money.
Dan tried to say.
Oh yes.
So
the other bit of
is
news.
Psychonauts 2 a thing then?
It's being funded
it's a
on Fig.
Oh, Fig. It's on.
Of course it is because Double Fine are practically part of Fig.
Okay.
I
bet me just assumed they'd kickstart something again.
It's basically the same thing.
Kinda.
Sort of similar. Yeah. So it's 1/3 Fig crowd-funded, 1/3 Double Fine funded, and 1/3 mysterious third-party funded. And the best part of the video
secured
was
investment,
where they were showing all the people who worked in the original game saying, yeah, I'm into it, I'm going to do it, or whatever. And then they had Eric Wolpal, who apparently works for Valve or whatever now, and they just had him standing next to Gabe. And Gabe is just got his arms crossed looking really pissed off, and he just goes, yeah, he could be into it. The guy's like, yes.
Fair enough. Is there a picture in existence of Gabe Newell smiling?
I'm sure there is.
Not a recent one, maybe.
No, not lately.
I honestly can't remember one. I have no recollection of that ever happening. Speaking of there was something random I spotted because I checked in with Fast Racing Neo to see when that comes out.
Yeah.
It's like December 12th or something. And it's it's actually going to be pretty cheap. It's going to be like a tenner or something on Nintendo eShop. So bit of a bargain. Might still be worth a punt. And as a result of that got me looking at what's happening with Formula Fusion. Let's check in with that, see what's going on.
Yep.
Turns out they had a bit of a problem for a while.
Yep, I'm sure.
They got over enthusiastic with scaling up their studio and run out of money basically, and so had to start scaling down again. But apparently, fairly recently, they've secured an investment deal, so that project is back on track.
All right. Okay.
Formula Fusion will still hopefully be a thing.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. There's a cautionary tale, I suppose, of people trying to start their own studio and didn't quite manage themselves. Perhaps in the most ideal way. But, yeah, the investors stepped in and were like, these games are still good.
Still good.
They're still good.
Still good.
Now let's go back to the bit of news that we started talking about when Rob wasn't here, and then I prevented it because Rob needed to be here to talk about it.
What is it?
Final Fantasy VII Remake got some more trailer thing.
Ooh, what's going on?
Okay, so Rob hasn't seen it, so that's actually going to be helpful.
Well, it's gameplay footage, right? It's full on.
It's sort of gameplay footage. I mean, they showed a few seconds of a fight scene, and then they did show a bit of running around in the world, I guess.
Yeah, both. Yeah,
most of it was just like voice acting cutscenes.
Yeah, but it's like.
But the key thing is that bit of gameplay. Does it look like Final Fantasy VII, or have they done?
No, it looks like 15.
No, it's 15. So it's like a 15 mod, basically, but with all
15 and 13 are the same.
Oh,
pretty much.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, so it's not like 7.
So, okay, I have very mixed emotions about this now, actually, because it's like, okay, 15 is unproven and maybe good, and early indications say it might actually turn out to be great. But then the fact that they've decided to just rip that engine and shove FF7 in it sounds less cool.
Yeah.
I don't know though, because you can. It's going to take so much to do all the art and everything for it.
Sure. I'm not saying it might not work, but in a way that's a little bit more disappointing because it's kind of the same game as what 15 will end up
and
doing,
13.
Right?
It's all basically the same.
Yeah.
It's been the same for the last 3 games, basically.
I don't know. That's slightly less cool to me. I suppose it makes business sense, right? It's a
quick way of making mechanics.
Yeah.
Well, my question is very brief. Even within this incredibly brief bit of fight that they showed, they also very briefly showed Barrett fighting, with him as the main focus of the camera, I guess you'd say.
Right.
And that's one of the main questions I have about converting the 13/15 gameplay into the Final Fantasy VII idea is will there be the capability to control each character as much as each other? Because sort of in 13 you were mainly just controlling one and you just had the other two on auto almost. It was just you suggested what they did.
Oh sure, yeah, the paradigm shift was more important than actually you defining actions.
Yeah.
Right? You could basically play that entire game telling your character just go auto based on the paradigm you're in.
Yeah, exactly.
You'd swap
and the second characters were just there doing stuff.
Yeah, you'd swap Vanille to suddenly go healing, for instance.
But
and then she'd heal the party.
You don't want that. You don't really want that in Final Fantasy VII. You want everyone to be equally important. Mainly because you can swap the characters around and they're actually sort of characters, I guess.
It just... Yeah, it's difficult because I don't think they made enough of the 13 systems, right? Because in theory, all of the powers were there, all of the status effects, all the things were there. But it was one of those things that your characters would basically automatically figure out
they
what
would just
worked.
Counter.
They would figure out what worked and what didn't, right?
Yeah.
So if they used something on a bad guy and it didn't work, they would remember that and so wouldn't use that against that enemy again. So it meant very quickly, it only took 1 or 2 fights before your team knew what the optimum, in theory, knew what the optimum strategy was to sort of stun them or to buff you in certain ways against certain enemies. And it was and it basically sort of played itself after a while, which is a shame because it's other than you, they didn't play into the timing of when you wanted to shift stance, I suppose, shift these paradigms into different things. There just wasn't enough of that,
and that's why it's that doesn't seem like it doesn't seem anything like the Final Fantasy system of turns and waiting.
Old Final Fantasy is more of a puzzle, right?
Yeah.
Like, to an extent.
I mean, sort of. I mean, it's not like in Final Fantasy 7 you can't just hit attack over and over and it'll work most of the time.
Yeah, if you ground it up, right? Or at least that's to me what like JRPG fighting should be in a way, like more of a sort of or at least a bit more puzzling, a bit more of a strategy you need to figure out to like optimize how you do it. But it should be you that figures that out, not the computer.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I'm not sure you in that 13/15 fighting style. The trouble with it is because it's not turn-based. It always wants to have something happening, even if you're entering a specific command. Normally, the other characters are doing stuff as well all the time, just to like make it look like stuff is
dynamic. Or they'd just be changing position or something.
But not in the same way as like what is that game called? Skies of Arcadia, where the background fighting isn't actually anything happening; it's just animation.
Oh yeah. They would just stand facing each other, weren't they?
Because that still is a turn-based system.
Yeah.
So it's like that. I don't know. Maybe they could sort of do that. Like you could make it so it's still a turn-based system and just have it animate stuff happening that's not actually stuff happening. Maybe. I was also thinking maybe they could do like if they wanted to still have some element of you playing all the characters but not having it be completely overwhelming. Maybe they could almost do it in like have it in like Fallout VATS, where like when you're entering your turn, time slows down. So it's like the stuff you've already entered for the other characters is still going on. It's just going on much slower to give you time to navigate through whatever you're doing. I don't know. They probably won't. It'll probably just be like 15, 13.
I sort of wish...
And then that'll also be a question of like, what about random fights? Will you be able to grind?
Well, maybe the 13 system would have been better if it just didn't have auto, right? Where it would stop and you would like then queue up the commands that your characters would do when their ATB was ready, right? But all of this is happening simultaneously.
Yeah, maybe.
Like there's no waiting for each character to then do its action. Everyone's just trying to do stuff simultaneously.
I was thinking of like better turn-based systems, and I think like the one, I don't know what it was originally from, but the one that they used in the Penny Arcade game, the later Penny Arcade games, with that active time bar where like your speed would depend on like whether you overtook the other people's, but it was on like a continuous flow, so it's just like whoever's turn came up next just came up next.
Child of Light had a similar system, right, with the time bar and things like that. It's a neat idea. I don't think, and having not played the later Penny Arcade games, I'm not sure like if anyone's really. Again, that feels like a system that I don't think has really been explored enough. Like because Child of Light felt too simplistic in its combat. Like the timeline was a cool idea, but it was basically all you had to worry about. Really, the other status effects didn't matter as much.
Well, I mean, that was sort of the case in the Penny Arcade one, because a lot of the abilities were about moving the timeline around, like pushing people back. And
I didn't feel like that was enough. I felt like there needed to be more depth to that combat system. I liked it, but I think they can do more with it.
I think, obviously, the important thing about Final Fantasy VII, though, is LOL voice acting. LOL.
Yeah.
Hear Wedge say terrible things in his terrible voice, because he's a fat dude with a dumb voice.
I'm assuming they'll have had to have rewritten it, right? Like
it doesn't seem like it.
Because bits of the translation just won't work, right? The translation was garbage.
Well, I mean, they showed quite a lot of... I mean, it's right from the start of the game, so I was having a time remembering exactly what happened, but it seemed like most of the lines that were spoken were the exact same as the original.
Well, I guess they might be, just doing that because
just cutting out the interesting lines from the start of the game,
or just fan service.
When Wedge says you're doing this for the planet, and then Cloud is like not interested, and it's like that was sort of a weird line even in text.
Yeah, not interested.
And also that like.
Does this mean we have like any kind of date schedule for this? Like, because 15 is supposedly next year, right?
No date, just more footage. So if it happens to come out next year, it wouldn't be too surprising, but it would probably be the year after.
No, it's not. I think there's not a chance it'll come out next year.
Well, if they're building it on the same engine at this point, it's just
I'm not even sure 15 will make it next year.
No, maybe not. And also, I'm not sure I like this design of Barrett. I think I preferred the Advent Children version.
The Advent Children version was cool.
I mean, they did show his
all
gun
of the
arm
character designs in Advent Children were cool.
Sort of. They did show his gun arm in this short bit of the Final Fantasy remake, and it is just like a machine gun, except it's quite long. It's not as stubby as it is in the original.
Yeah, okay.
Well, it needs a bit of barrel, I think, in order, doesn't it? I don't know. It looks really weird in the first game because it's like a plate sort of thing, like it's like 6 pistols
like
like
three...
attached to.
Well, it's like
it doesn't have 3 little holes, like a weird offset.
It's like I always imagined it as being like the 6 barrels of the machine gun were hidden inside a casing. Like just the ends of the barrels were sticking out.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's what I always thought that looked like.
Yeah,
but now it's much more obviously like a
minigun.
Minigun with the 6 individual barrels that probably rotate.
You need that to cool them in reality on a real one. They need to be exposed, don't they? So they spin in the air. I think so, because they are on the ones on planes and stuff. Obviously, they're not inside. They're inside the fuselage or whatever. But yeah. Anyway, yeah. And like Cloud, I mean, obviously he looks like true to.
Also, not as cool as the Advent Children version.
Yeah,
no, but his
arms are like super weedy, and he's like wielding this gigantic sword. It looks really weird. Like maybe he has like force powers or something. But he's a super soldier, obviously. But even so, like it looks a bit strange.
It's a little strange because
he looks a bit weedy.
I was about to say, because in the original, right? Like even in the slightly better versions of the models, his arms are a bit chunkier, right?
Yeah,
I don't really remember the better versions of the models that much.
I don't know, like, well, at least in the chibi ones with the super ridiculous, like, super thick wrists or whatever.
Yeah, but the middle part of his arm, where his actual arm is really thin in that version. It's like his shoulders are gigantic, his wrists are gigantic, but the bit in the middle is really thin. In the low poly version.
The chibi version.
And they didn't show any material or anything. I don't think they even showed a magic effect in that whole thing. They just showed lots of fancy light coming off your sword as you slash around, as you do.
Are they going to shove orbs into your arm or whatever?
Yeah, that's the question.
Yeah.
I mean, the fucking sword has holes in it specifically for materia, so that's always been the case. But it's never been used like that.
It was only Advent Children they did that, right? Where it was like they shoved orbs
into
them.
That was the only interpretation of that I'd seen. I mean, maybe they showed it in one of the other Final Fantasy VII spin-off games at some point.
Oh, maybe.
But it was really dumb because it was like that original sword, the Buster Sword or whatever that Cloud starts with, very specifically has those 2 holes in it, and it has 2 materia slots in the interface, and you're like, well, that's where the materia goes, obviously.
Yeah.
But then as soon as you get rid of that sword, none of the other swords have any kind of holes in them as far as you can tell.
No, it'd be cool if they did, like, if that was the theme that they went for, like, you know, things actually had visible slots and you put them in and you see little like glowing balls where they go, and it's like,
and you touch them.
Yeah. Or if they like, you know, even if they do the little thing like some weapon, like RPGs do, when you've got an added effect on a weapon that they start, you know, say you add electricity to them or whatever, lightning status, like the weapon gets slightly lightning-y.
Well, that's not
and it's like
that difficult to do, I'm sure.
No,
that would just be a change of the weird glowy effects that they all have when they're slashing around in the air.
I guess, but yeah. Just little things like that would be neat.
So yeah, it doesn't. So what we've determined from that trailer so far is it seems like they're changing the mechanics quite a lot, but maybe not the story, which will be interesting.
Yeah.
If they keep all the weird story elements that FF7 originally had, but in this modernized graphics.
Yeah, so I wouldn't say I'm sold just yet, but at least I'm more intrigued than if it was just a straight up remake. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Cool. News.
So I think that's better news than no news, I suppose.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like quite early news again. Like the fact that they're even showing gameplay at all is like that's kind of worrying, really, because it does just mean it's probably going to be just a reskin of the systems they already have.
Perhaps. Yes. So, well, maybe they'll do what they did with the Final Fantasy 13 series, and like they'll take 15 and then make like a 15-2 and turn that into FF7. Like, so it'll be sort of the same, but mixed up a bit. I don't know. Do you want to quickly talk about the Game Awards?
Not really, but what have you got?
Well, I know that everyone's pissed off that more ridiculous Kojima stuff is happening.
Oh God, what?
Yeah, so Kojima's lawyers, basically, Konami's lawyers ordered Kojima not to attend the Game Awards.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And he did?
No, he didn't. But but during the Game Awards, they announced that fact. Because obviously
really?
they were pissed off. Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah, so it's quite funny.
But why? What?
I don't know.
Why?
They're fucking weird. He made the game. I mean, jeez. Anyway, Konami just digging themselves deeper, but no one cares because they're not going to make any games anymore. So no one's going to give them any money anymore.
No. No one's going to invest in Konami anymore. Like, not from the West, anyway. The pachinko parlors. Like, these pachinko lords of Japan may invest. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It kind of went the way of, like, I guess most, like, Game Awards or stuff. Like, but there's, like, the Game Awards themselves are slightly odd because they are, like, weirdly timed, I suppose. It's not the end of the year yet, so there's stuff still to come out this year.
I guess, yeah.
And to that end, they do work on their sort of December to December timescale, because I'm pretty sure they included things from late last year in their lists. Not that I have any of that written down, but it comes across as a little odd sometimes. But do you want to know what their game of the year was?
What was it?
Witcher 3.
Fair enough. Seems like a big contender.
Do you want to know what their utterly pointless extra award for developer of the year was?
CG Project Red?
Yeah. Surprise. It's like, I don't know why you have 2 awards for that. I don't get it. It's also strange, like something about the way they isolated Game of the Year and then had the best indie category. Like the big Game of the Year group just was very clearly like, oh, these are only going to be AAA titles, at least by their nominations. And then indie was like, okay, anything that doesn't fit into the AAA category, we'll just bundle it in here. It's like, I don't know. I think it's possible for an indie game to be the best Game of the Year, right? I don't know.
Yeah, why the hell not?
It's just how it looked. Maybe that wasn't. I'm guessing that's not the intention, but. All right. Guesses for best indie?
Are we guessing now?
Yeah, go on. Just throw it out there.
I don't know.
Some practice for later on.
What would it be?
Can I do, Zach? It's something we've played.
Yeah, well, I think I already know. It was probably Ori and the Blind Forest.
No, surprisingly.
Disappointing.
I'll give you that did win best art.
Well, yeah, obviously. That's like the Rayman of this year.
Yeah, yeah. It went to Rocket League.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Okay.
People really like that game. You guys really like it, so I don't know.
I really like that game.
I really like it, but it's like there's not much to it compared to some other indies this year.
No, but there's something about like having a nice focused version of something just very well executed.
Yeah, but I mean, there's been some quite dramatic story-based indie games even this year, really.
Well, yeah, that did come up as well because they I don't know if they've had it before, but they sort of it's relevant in the sense that of the discussions about actors in video games, like the whole voice actor thing that's been going on, and stuff like that. So they have a best performance category in the Game Awards, and it specifically calls out acting. In this particular case, like what character did they think was the best performed? And it's like, I don't know, best performance to me sounds a little bit like they think something. What about musicians? What about the best performed music act of video games? I don't know. But anyway, that was what they were going for with this, and they did give their best performance award to, and I apologise if I pronounced this wrong, but Viva Seifert for Her Story. I don't know if you know a lot about that game. It's like we haven't played it, but that's that weird one where it's not a game in the sense that there's a goal or anything like that, but it's basically a series of interview tapes that you watch, and they're with like someone interviewing Viva's character, presumably, and you eventually, like, by watching these things and deciding certain facts and stuff like that. You unlock more tapes to watch, and then like the result of building up all these tapes is for you to build a picture of your own opinion, I suppose, of what actually happened based on her story. So it's almost not really a game, but a sort of media experiment type thing.
Okay.
So there you go. That apparently is the best performance of the year.
Well, that was a bit easy though, because it's just like
Because it is actually someone on camera,
because
right?
it's actually a performance.
Yeah.
It's not even voice acting; it's literally a performance.
Because they had Ashley Birch got a nomination for doing stuff for Life is Strange, and Mark Hamill,
really?
obviously, for the Joker.
Did you know? I didn't know this, but I looked up Ashley Birch the other day because I was wondering what happened to Hey Ash, what you playing, and it turns out that what she does is she's a full-time writer for Adventure Time, and that makes total sense.
No, right.
That's her job.
I didn't realise.
Yeah. It's like I was like,
Yes,
that makes total sense. Yeah.
Because obviously the other Birch made his name for doing work on Borderlands, and
Right.
things like that. He's the key. I think he's the key writer on Borderlands 2.
Right. Yeah. That sounds right. Yeah, he's definitely a Gearbox guy.
Well, I don't know if he's specifically Gearbox, but he does game writing.
Yeah.
What were the other nominations? I think lady who plays, can't remember her name. I'm terrible with names. Do apologise. The guy that played, the lady that plays Lara Croft was up, and the guy that plays Geralt from Witcher was up as well. So basically, any lead from any big game this year.
There's no really good characters
no Master
this year.
Chief or Jameson Locke. No
Yeah.
Buck. No Nathan Fillion nomination.
It hasn't been that good a year for that sort of stuff, I don't think. There's been no like Mass Effect kind of style performances or whatever. And Metal Gear has characters, but they're all the performances are pretty bad. I don't know. Kiefer Sutherland is not good. Let's put it that way.
But that's what happens like commonly, right, with like voice actors, isn't it? Or like when big actors try and do just voice
the cliche is that they always phone it in, but they don't always. I mean, the Mass Effect.
No. Even if they try, they might not just have the chops. Is what I mean by that. There's like voice acting is a very different thing.
That's true. I actually thought that what's his name, Martin Sheen was pretty good as the elusive man.
Oh
Mass
yeah,
Effect
no, he was fine.
Yeah,
got no problem with that. And yeah, I'm not saying anything like everyone's bad at it.
And
you could argue that Keith David is both a normal actor and a voice actor. You know,
that's
he does
true.
a pretty
He
good
is.
job.
He's on Adventure Time quite a bit.
Keith David.
Yeah, I think he play like the Flame King or something. I can't remember.
I don't know enough about Adventure Time to
look it up. Sherper. Yep, Flame King, voiced by Keith David. There you go.
Okay, awesome. Wasn't he in all of the Modern Warfare games as well? Keith David.
Oh,
sure
probably. He says things like, what's the stupid "we're on the move" thing? In stupid.
Oscar Mike.
Oscar Mike, that's the one. Oscar Mike, yeah, on the move. OM. No one really says Oscar Mike. Do they? It's quicker to say on the move. So
yeah, it's good. It's quicker to say we're on the move. Yeah. we're en route.
En route.
I'm pretty sure that's come up in a Call of Duty game. It's like we're en route.
Yeah. Anywho,
that's all I got for news.
Cool. That's the end of news. It's time for what you've been playing. What you've been playing?
Oh wait, there was theoretically one more bit of news.
Theoretical news.
Well, because it's still quite a long way away, relatively speaking. Oh, I guess it's another February thing.
Right.
Rocket League's going to come out on Xbox One.
Oh yeah, that's kind of a big deal, and it's getting some cool cars.
Yeah, there's something here I'm reading that says that the developers are saying there will be no crossplay because Xbox One as a platform pretty much full on doesn't support that at all.
No, they kind of just want you to go through live, don't they? And rather than their own system, it's a Microsoft thing, whereas PlayStation have always been much more open. Which in a way, I wonder if PlayStation Network actually has any of that matchmaking stuff behind it. You know, live has always been, we'll do that for you.
Yeah.
When PSN probably build it yourself, but you can build it however you want. We don't care. One of those jobs. But yeah, that makes a great deal of great deal of sense. Don't think it matters a great deal.
Well, it sucks for them because they won't get as much population to play against.
Maybe.
And also, presumably, it won't be free unless it turns up on gold immediately.
Yeah, that is the next question. It's like, will it come out on gold in the same way they did for PS Plus? I reckon Microsoft would want that, right?
Well, they would, but I reckon probably the developers would want some money this time round.
Yeah, but they get paid to be on Plus and to be on.
But probably not as much as they could have made, considering how popular it got.
Maybe, but it sold really well on Steam as well. Don't forget, and none of that would have been pure money.
Well, yeah. And also,
but it's still been selling after it was on Plus. Not everyone picked it up immediately.
Yes.
Although Plus does have that auto download thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So
people who may have, maybe like you in your gold, where you just get whatever the fuck's there, regardless.
Yeah. In a weird way, I sort of love games of gold because it does. Most of what comes up on it is kind of weird and like under the radar stuff. That doesn't mean it's good, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, I'll give that a go. It's free. Like we didn't talk about it last week because we forgot to with Kippers.
Yeah.
But both Kippers and I played Numa, which was that weird vision-based puzzle game, I suppose, which was an Unreal 4 gig. On Xbone. That's a bit up its own arse, but it's fine for a free 2-hour experience.
And it's one more bit of not really news of something that's going to be happening a long time away, probably, because it's only just got this preview trailer. Because everyone wants a new Shaq Fu.
Good God, what?
Why would you do that?
What, like as a cartoon or as a game, or?
No, it's a game.
Shaq Fu.
I mean, it's...
What was it? Was it a fighter?
It was a brawler.
Oh, okay.
I believe the original was as well, and this one is. So, yeah. I mean, what the fuck?
Okay.
And, Shaq is going to be there and say things really badly, because that's what he does.
Yep. Get some proper Shaq Attack voice acting.
And also, the character designs are ridiculous. Do you want fake Nazis? Hell no.
Fake Nazis?
Well, yeah, you can't have real Nazis.
What, in a Shaq game?
Yeah. You gotta have fake Nazis.
Shaquille O'Neal versus the Nazis, that's a game. It could be.
Probably.
Versus the Space Nazis.
Yeah.
If you want a jam
Space
edition.
Nazis, that's what you want. Yes, hang on, let me just...
Can they have Shaq Attack versus Space Jam?
That would be a ridiculous crossover. Michael Jordan and Shaq both together in the same game.
Yeah, I'm ready for this.
Not sure I can make this big enough for Rob to actually see, but no.
Man looks up thing on phone.
There you go. You've got fake Nazi, Asian woman with huge boobs, and black guy with scissor on his back.
What the hell? Okay, this is very. What is going on there? This. I don't. Yeah, let's call him a Nazi. Let's carry on with this.
It's got the fake swastika with the bird
it's
thing.
the GameCube logo.
Yeah, it is a G.
He's got the GameCube logo, or alternatively the Gru's logo from Despicable Me.
Yeah.
Okay, that's weird. What is she in the middle is supposed to be?
I don't know.
It's just like sassy 70s.
Huge boobed Asian woman.
I don't get it.
No, and then of course you've got to have the purple stuff.
Scissor.
Yep.
Scissor.
You've got to have the purple stuff.
That's really weird. Neon trash can warrior.
Yes, so yeah, I thought that is ridiculous. I mean, of course it was going to be, because it's fucking Shakespeare.
Oh man. Shaquille O'Neal run out of money or something, and it's just like, I'm going to fund a video game!
Or get paid to appear in a video game.
Yeah.
Not fund it. I don't even know whether that's a Kickstarter or not. I didn't really look into what's actually happening.
Weird.
Yep, very weird.
Any more last minute theoretical news?
No, that's it.
Okay, good. Dan, who's kicking off what you've been playing? Should we kick with you and your Metal Gear escapades?
You can kick with me. I've been playing Metal Gear Solid. What a surprise! I've also still playing Wipeout Pulse or whatever in the off periods.
Oh yeah, I keep meaning to go and try that.
No,
again.
It's good. It's quite long.
I've been listening to it. I've been listening to its soundtrack like recently again.
Yeah,
So
I might be
it's a good
going
soundtrack.
overboard on the soundtrack. It's lucky it's a good soundtrack because it goes around and around and around.
Yeah.
I wish there was more songs in there, and I could just play Spotify at the same time and turn off all the music, I suppose. But for the time being, I'm playing the. You'd need to find music that was suitable for Wipeout to play alongside Wipeout. I think
Yes,
nice.
It has to be crazy future breakbeat.
Yeah, breakbeat, trancey type stuff that is also simultaneously a little bit chilled, kind of. I don't know.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah,
it's not
More
really
ambient
dancing music.
than you-
Yeah.
No, very much not dancing music. Unless
yeah.
you want to, I don't know, glitch the fuck out, like and just sort of break bits of you.
Exactly.
I don't know.
But it works great.
It's like,
Obviously, I want another Wipeout game, but this one is pretty good, considering it's a PSP game and I'm running it at 2560 by 1440p or some shit. I don't know. Yeah.
did you ever figure out
Obviously,
how
it
to
doesn't
get hold
look
of all the
good as
free
Wipeout,
download
obviously.
stuff?
Yeah, you can get that, but
Cool.
when I reinstalled Windows, I lost it, so I need to go looking for it again. I had to do a bit of a hunt. There was some YouTube video that had the shit, but you can add that stuff. But I don't think it's
Good.
there's as much stuff for Pulse as there was for Pure, because Pure basically doubled
Oh
its size.
no, sorry, you're right. Yeah, Pulse had actual proper DLC. Sorry,
Yeah.
it was Pure. I'm thinking.
I think Pulse
yeah.
is a bigger game, pretty much. And
Yeah,
it-
Pulse is
yeah.
a bigger game. Yeah, and it handles handles more like Wipeout HD did.
Yeah, I think it does. Yeah. I wish I could
Which
just
I
play
think I
Wipeout
prefer
HD.
slightly.
Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah, maybe I should go. Maybe I should just do that. Turn my PS3 on and actually.
Well,
play
you can actually do
Wipeout
that.
again.
I never had a PS3, so I never played. That was probably the one game I wanted. It was some like downloadable game, but there you go.
Oh, it was good.
On PS3. That and Uncharted 2, I suppose. But I just played that at yours and then never played it again. That was fine by me. Metal Gear. Yeah. So
Hey,
I
Dan.
don't know.
Dan.
Because I recommended it to John
Hey,
or
Dan.
whatever. Yeah.
Hey, Dad. I've been playing Metal Gear. Yeah.
Oh, seriously? Why? I didn't think you'd that. Oh yeah, I know you were slightly getting convinced by the idea, having played Ground Zeroes and like talked about.
Yeah.
I wonder if you agree with me that it's like more your sort of thing than Ground Zeroes was, or like better.
Very much, yes. I'm getting on with it a lot more than I did Ground Zeroes. It's something about the design of the areas, I think, and the ability to tackle them more in ways that I think are that I like. You know, I don't feel quite so frustrated by it.
I mean, do you find yourself going loud and stuff? Much?
I have done, yeah.
Okay.
Like, I don't try and go loud. Like I don't
No.
start a confrontation going loud.
No.
I mean, I'm only episode 6 or 7 in, so I'm not that far.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there have been a couple of moments where stuff's gone bad and I've like restarted, and then after a couple of attempts and it's still gone bad because of things I couldn't foresee. It's just like, screw it,
like-
get the assault rifle out, let's do this.
Yeah.
And then afterwards you realise, oh, actually that wasn't such a bad option after all.
No.
I didn't really get penalised for that. It's like I don't really want to be killing all these dudes. I want to be playing the game properly. But then I think
It's your
I've finally got to
interpretation
the
of what's proper, though, isn't it?
I guess, yeah. But I've got to the point where like I've come across a couple of guys wearing armor, and my trinket techniques don't work anymore, and it's like, oh no, is this all going to go to hell? Am I just going to go loud all the time now? I don't know.
Well, I moved to like using the kind of the choke hold more as much as I can now. I mean,
that's my primary. I try.
Yeah.
I do that as much as possible.
They still get up from that, eventually, which is nice. And but you could just
But it's
filter them.
way longer than it felt like in Ground Zeroes.
Yeah. They got up
Way
almost straight
longer.
away in Ground Zeroes, which was ridiculous.
Yeah.
But they stay out longer. Like if you do the choke hold, it's pretty good. But I do if it's a long mission, you have to kind of still have to filter them because eventually, like they wake up and call, and that's kind of annoying.
Yeah, I mean, there was one situation where I had taken out, like, I basically caused a train of people to walk out, like, they each noticed the body, and then the next guy would come out and be like, oh no, what's going on? And he'd, like, creep forward towards it as they do, and it's like, oh, I'll just trank him in the head.
Yeah,
And then the next guy would come around the corner, and it's like, oh, no, this went on for ages, so
Yeah,
there were
there
like
were
8
a pile
guys
of bodies,
piled on top of each other. And then things went bad, so I ran away. And of course, while they went bad, they don't bother waking each other up. They're more interested in trying to find you. So everyone,
okay.
So everyone sort of moved away from the pile of people, and then it was like a bit easier to deal with the bad situation. But then, of course, once I dealt with the bad situation, there was still like one guy left who then went and woke everyone up, and it's like, oh no, this is going to be a problem.
Right. Okay. Because now they really want to find you.
Yeah.
Yeah. You'll probably overtake me. I wouldn't be surprised. I've got like 26 hours or something on the clock, and I only just got to Africa. And I was talking to John, and I'd recommended it to him after I was playing it for weeks, and he's like probably finished it. You know, the way he just cheeses everything.
Oh yeah,
he
does. He does.
He like goes into the side ops and like runs in, gets the prisoner, and runs out without even doing. Do you know what I mean?
Really?
Just to get there. Well, that's the way he plays games. But for me, it's like that completely would break my suspension of disbelief. Like I wouldn't have fun playing the game that way. Like cheesing everything. I'm
going to have to call you up on that though, because this is suspension of disbelief is one thing that you absolutely need in order to play this game, right? Because nothing is realistic in this game.
Not really.
So even when it's trying to be,
you have to give it.
It suddenly then does something ridiculous.
Yeah,
like I don't know, even like when you start a mission and you find those little laptop stations or whatever, and you download the mission information to your iDroid or whatever, and then as soon as the mission starts, the thing just bonks itself into the sky for no reason at all, and plays that cartoon sound effect of it going.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
whoop.
That's the thing about Metal Gear in general, though. That's what I learned from watching all those videos of all of the cutscenes of the previous games. Is that like
they so know their games, and they don't try to be anything else.
But it's like anime in that it's ridiculous and also very serious. That's the thing I had to get my head around. It's not like ridiculous because it's stupid and funny all the time. It's like very self-serious, in fact, and like it wants you to take it seriously at the same time as having superheroes and like insane nuclear bipedal walking tanks and shit. Like it's like a kind of doublethink thing. You know, well, you have
then it's like it's the cartoony things that are thrown in that just seem so out of place. But then you kind of want you're all the more happy for them to be there.
Yeah,
it's really strange.
It makes it fun and like weird.
Like even little things, like every time you get on the horse and it plays that little drum roll.
Yeah,
it's like
and dramatic.
I'm on a horse.
Angle. Yeah, exactly. It's like such stupid stuff like that. That's why, because traditionally, I always thought like Metal Gear is dumb because Splinter Cell is like so much more kind of realistic, and it's going for a kind of realism, even when it wasn't. Like in terms of the gameplay, it definitely wasn't. Like you could just pile up, you could knock people out, and they'd be out indefinitely, and you could just hide them in cupboards. And as long as they didn't have a bit of light hitting their foot, it wouldn't set off the alarm. Stuff like that was stupid, but at least the tone of the game was kind of serious and. It didn't. The tone wasn't all over the place. Whereas Metal Gear, the tone is all over the place. But like now, I'm like, no, actually, this is video games. This is freaking great. Like this is fun.
I gotta admit, and like even the sort of slow pace of it, which is something I would normally I just would run a mile from, and the fact that you actually do go back to the same areas perhaps more often than I would like.
You do quite a lot,
even if you're trying to cover off side ops and things like that, and you're
because I do
trying to hit them up. Yeah, so far I've been doing them all that have come up, and you're going back to there's one village in Afghanistan that I think you get a main mission to do, like one of the first main missions or something, and the side ops just keep bringing you back there. It's like I'm kind of bored of this area now.
That one base
with the sort of moat around it.
Yeah.
Oh, and the barracks. The barracks I found super annoying. I've been back there a few times.
I think it's the barracks is the one where you have to go upstairs to get to where they're always holding the prisoner.
Oh no, the barracks is the one with the basement.
Oh that's a different one. Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It's a sort of destroyed building, and you can go down into.
Yeah, I know that one
to get to the prison cell.
I haven't been to that one that much. I've only been 2 or 3 times to that one, I think.
Yeah, but even so, like that one's such an annoying layout that it's like
because it's up against the side of a hill
already.
Yeah, but you can kind of just run. Once you're done with that, you can just run up that hill and be out of there like really quickly, which is kind of cool. Anyway,
I mean, it does have a few of the problems that I'm sort of annoyed with. Like there's one of the longer missions so far as you follow this road for ages, and I think it's the bit where there's a sort of bridge construction going on at one point, and then you get to the end and it's in like a temple, and you get one of those sequences with the mist.
That's a long mission.
It's a very long mission, but it's like that bit at the end I found super frustrating because it's all in that tight spaces, and there's plenty of angles at which you can't. No, but it's just getting to the prisoner. Right.
Oh, I see.
Like without trying to get spotted, it's like because there's a number of people escorting him, but then there's also a ton of guys in that temple structure.
Yeah,
and it's like, I don't know. I found that real tricky because it's just like there's no way I could have known that guy was there, and it's like that got real frustrating real fast.
I think
and eventually, as always with me, it went loud. And then that made everything real convenient because people were looking in the wrong direction more often.
Oh, cool.
So it's like, I'll just creep up behind all these guys because they all think I'm over there.
Oh, you actually like it sometimes when they break their paths and are looking.
Yeah, because they think I'm in one location, and yeah. Like one of the tactics I seem to have been I've used quite a bit now is the thing where you're supposed to, like, if you put explosives on the communications dishes, you can block HQ reinforcements.
Yeah,
and it's like, actually what I'll do is I'll go around the level and I'll set a few of those up. And then if I think things are there's a situation I can't quite get through, what I'll do is I'll just detonate them.
Right.
And that will change where everyone is, and that might open up a window.
A way through.
And it's like, being able to do stuff like that is cool.
Yeah, it's cool, right? I don't know. It's fun. I mean, I try to go for perfect stealth, no kills, but I almost never... Because I
rely on reflex way too often.
Yeah, I go in reflex.
Way too often.
You can get upgrades that extend the reflex, by the way, if you haven't noticed that. I can't remember what it was, but have a look through I can't remember what equipment it was. I haven't tried using the
Phantom Cigar yet, which supposedly makes time slow down.
No, I haven't used that either. I think that's to, like, fast forward through time when you need to. Like, on the last mission, I should probably have used that. I can't remember.
I misjudged what that meant then. I thought it was, like, to slow down time and, like, do increase reflex, like, that kind of thing. Like, you have a smoke and suddenly you're like, all right, I'm on this.
No, I think it's just, I've never used it, but I think it's just for, the mission's at night time and it's the middle of the day. I need to get to that time type thing.
And I feel like I should be using the box more often. Like,
the box is really good. Yeah, I don't use it as much as I should, but yeah, it's really cool.
Even for, like, just the stand up and salute tactic, to confuse people.
Yeah,
should probably do that.
It's hilarious, man. I really enjoy it. But yeah, I am, like, taking apparently I'm taking my time over it because I'm only, like, my completion is like 13% and I've been playing it for like 26 hours or something like that. So I don't know. I think I'm like less than halfway through the story missions because every time I come to it, I'm like, well, I haven't always got this story mission could be like 2 hours or something or more. And I'm not sure. So I'll just do some side ops. So I tend to do that. But I did it. And then I'm like, no, this is ridiculous. I need to keep going with it. But I got to the Africa stuff and, like, the first one was at night. And I didn't think Africa looked as good as Afghanistan because Afghanistan looks really good. Like,
it's a really good looking game. Yeah. I mean, I was a little reluctant picking this up because I got the PC version.
Yeah.
Because top tip, CD keys. I think we've talked about these guys before. Occasionally, they have some insane deals on like brand new games, and you just get the CD key, you plug that into Steam, you're away. I had a really good deal on Metal Gear for this, so it was that helped a lot in the decision. But I'd heard good things about my system's aging a bit, and I was thinking about whether I should get that or maybe The Witcher as kind of a last hurrah for the year, and. People had said, okay, Witcher will run okay on an NVIDIA 670. You'll get by just fine as long as you don't mind it looking a bit like the console versions. And it's like it's fine, but I know I can do better. And it's like I'm not sure I like 30 frames per second on a PC.
No,
I'd probably have to do some stuff to cap it off to make it look okay and things like that. This I could run above console quality. At 60 frames, 100% of the time. Yeah. The only problem I have is occasional loading hitches, which apparently the console versions don't have.
Right.
I've had so Eddie is a big I think we've had on the show years and years ago. Is a big Metal Gear fan. Has been playing it on PS4, and he said it's like, yeah, actually, this looks a little bit better running on your machine here. There's slightly more detail in spots and that, and it's. Runs great and looks great. Like there's just something about the world of Afghanistan that they've done a real good job on it.
I mean, it looks really good. It almost makes me want to visit somewhere like Afghanistan. It's actually beautiful. But yeah, I don't think the Africa jungle type stuff looks quite as good, unfortunately. But then I went during the day and it had like a lightning storm and stuff, and that looked good. But I think at night,
doesn't it rain in Africa, which it doesn't in Afghanistan?
Exactly, it does. So it rains, so you get the sandstorms in Afghanistan, which basically block out everything, which is kind of cool because you can't see where you're going.
I find them more annoying than good, actually, because they never happen when I'm in the middle of a mission and I want the stealth. They always happen before I'm about to do something and I'm scoping it out.
Wait.
It's like, oh, God damn it, what am I going to do now? Let's put a tape on or something.
Exactly. Whereas the rain supposedly masks your footsteps because of the noise of the rain. So that's quite good.
Okay, it's a good idea. Yeah.
Although I'm not sure, I might just get the sneaking suit and have my footsteps be silenced by that. Presumably with that, you sacrifice the kind of camouflage effect.
Well, yeah, I wasn't sure whether to go for, like, we're thinking camo, like, because you get, like, rocky and desert real early on. It's like, actually, is the rock one going to be better than the desert in Afghanistan?
Yeah.
I'm really not sure.
I don't think they make much difference in terms of the multipliers on
I can't say I've noticed
distances.
anything.
Yeah, it's not that noticeable.
I have noticed that you do have to be slower in your approach on this than you did in Ground Zeroes.
Yeah.
Like, you could be crouching at full and walking at full speed and people wouldn't notice you. Probably because I guess you're wearing the sneak suit in that. I don't know.
Maybe that's it.
But you do have to treat it a lot slower in this. I'm
at this point, I'm quite used to the kind of detection ranges, like depending on whether it's day or night or whether I'm crouching or how fast I'm moving and stuff. You sort of get a kind of feel for it after a while. And you're less worried about line of sight and more worried about
I've been a little
distance.
screwed up with the consistency of that, actually.
Yeah.
Like, it's, it is pretty consistent, and it feels good most of the time. Sometimes there are angles where I think people are just seeing you through objects that you can't see through as the player, but are treated as transparent by the AI, and it's like, okay, that's not so good.
That's not so good. But at least you get the little shine.
You do get the warning, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, of course, when you're hidden, when you haven't yet been detected, it's like their vision range is actually really small.
Yeah, it's
and
not that
you
good.
You can do some really ridiculous, like just run in front of them kind of things, like or just crawl right in front of them.
Yeah, crawling, like being prone, you can get really close to people, and even when they're looking kind of directly across you, like you don't even have to be behind them, and that's quite funny. I go for the prone thing. That's one thing I think is a lot better in this than because I actually think that the kind of crouched walk movement is probably better in the old Splinter Cell games than it is in this. It felt more accurate in the old Splinter Cell games. But the prone stuff is much better in this. The kind of worming your way across the grass or whatever is much better in this one.
I think, I have been screwed up a couple of times with it. Firstly, because I think snipers have too good a vision.
Yeah,
like
there aren't
they
that
can
many
just,
snipers. But yeah,
no, but when you because you don't really know they're there some of the time, and suddenly you'll have this laser sight on you, and Miller will be like, "The snipers, get down!" Yeah, and it's like, and they just follow you from the moment they like snap onto you like that. It's like you're screwed, and it's like, oh right, okay, I didn't know that guy was there, and I didn't know he was a sniper. Balls.
Did you do the cheese?
Let's go back and do that again. No, I haven't even got there yet.
Got there.
So
okay, that's cool.
I haven't even got there yet. But yeah, I probably will cheese that because it's too good a tactic.
It's hilarious. It's so funny. We talked about that before, but it's so cool.
Yes. Okay. I haven't tried it like in normal. So I'm not. I don't think I'm experimental enough as it is yet.
That's
I'm not sure. I feel like I've got enough options yet. I mean, I did do one ridiculous thing. There's a mission where you're supposed to. I think it's a main mission where there's 3 generals. I'm still on that.
Yeah,
I haven't finished that one yet.
I know that one. Yeah.
There's 3 generals, and I think I may have screwed some of it up because I heard a radio thing saying I'll abort the meeting, so I don't know quite how that's going to play out now.
I think they'll just be in different villages, and you have to go and find them individually, probably.
But the first one, you got a bit of intel saying he was coming along the road, and it's like, great, I'm in the perfect position for this. How am I going to set this up? So I did the classic tactic, as you would in a lot of games like this, and put some C4 on the road. But people were like, I don't trust this enough. So parked the horse just in front of the C4. Right. So the Jeep drives up and obviously stops and then goes, get out of the way, horse. And the horse casually gets out of the way and there's like just out of the range of the C4 explosion. Of course, you detonate it. And it's like,
nice.
It's real satisfying.
Nice work.
Using the horse as a decoy.
Nice. That's great. How did you get the horse to stay there and not like run off?
Because he doesn't really move. Like
no,
you just get off him, and he doesn't really follow you. He just stays there. So I got him to poop as well, just in case I did anything. Yeah. I haven't quite worked out what the effect that has yet.
I don't think I've used the pooping yet.
I think that's part of my problem with this. Is like actually I don't know quite what all of the
stuff is
effects of some things are.
To be fair, the little hints you get before missions or during the loading, they are actually quite good and do go through those things if you pace through them. A lot of random stuff that you didn't know, they're quite good. I'm still learning things through that system.
I imagine I will be for quite some time. Like I saw in a video the other day the whole sort of like box cargo transit thing. It's like, really?
Oh, you can mail yourself around Afghanistan. Yeah.
It's like I haven't found any of the points where I can do that yet, or like I haven't seen any of them or collected the invoices or something you need to do that. But it's like, that's crazy. I can mail myself to an enemy base.
It's pretty dumb. I haven't used that though.
Oh man, that game is filled with silly stuff, and it's great.
It's cool.
I like was it Game Trailers picked up on the fact, like Carl Bosman there picked up on the fact that whenever there's an anachronistic bit of technology on screen, they use an orange lens flare.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's like whenever you start a mission, right, and you plug yourself into a laptop in like the 80s, to your holographic iDroid thing, there's a big orange lens flare that appears like pointlessly at that moment. So apparently, like there's like a lot of visual cues.
Okay, because the walkers, obviously, the walker gear, when you get to those, they're ludicrous. You don't even have those in the modern day, let alone in the frickin' 83 or whenever this is set. So I don't know if they are accompanied by giant orange lens flares.
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a good question. I think it's like when stuff appears, like, you know, because it's obviously whenever something sharp on screen appears, they have to have a big like lens flare on the sharp thing.
Naturally.
just to say this is sharp,
complete with a lens flare sound of like
it's like when you step into bright lights, isn't it? So you get then or if you pan the camera towards the sun, like every now and then it will just go if you walk from a dark area into a bit of light, like you know, with the HDR in that game is ridiculous, so you can't see anything sometimes. You'll step out into the sunlight and it will just go It's cool. The sound is excellent as well. Those little cues and stuff are really cool. Although the only thing I wish there was more of is like typically the guards have the same incidental conversations like way too often. Yeah,
especially if you're
like talking about the naked woman.
Yeah. Oh, you mean on your base and stuff, or just in
not on my base, just like the enemy guards, like the Russians. They're just like always having the same conversation. Like sometimes they'll have the same conversation multiple times in a row if you're taking the time, and it's just like great. Sort of breaking this a little bit. But no, I'm surprised at how much I'm enjoying it. Actually, I kind of wish there was just a little bit more of the crazy, a little bit more of the cutscene, a little bit more of the old MGS.
Yeah. I can see why you'd want that. Why one would want the balance, a bit more balance there, because I don't think the cutscenes have as much crazy as the old MGS either.
Well, I don't know that the openings, the whole openings.
Oh, the openings insane.
But it's proper crazy.
Yeah, but that's like people have been saying, and I think it's true that is like a kind of a feint. Like we talked about this because it's kind of ruined by Ground Zeroes, but it's like an old Metal Gear game, and then it throws you into the new. Sort of. Do you see what I mean? It's like out with the old in a spectacular, massive, insane
and maybe
way.
That was the original plan, right?
Yeah.
Like, given that how, Phantom Pain, the original trailer was bits of that sequence and only that sequence.
Yeah. Because that sequence is fucking mental. There's nothing like that in the rest of the game that I've seen. I don't think there will be, and I think that's on purpose.
Well, quite a lot of it doesn't make any sense either, right? A lot of it is actually kind of badly stitched together.
And it's really, really violent as well. Like,
yep.
It's like horrible.
There's that scene, right, where you're coming. This isn't spoilers, I guess, because it's right at the start.
It's right at the beginning, yeah.
But it's a bit where you're on this stairwell, right, and you're coming down the stairs, I think, and you go you're either going down or up, one of the two, and it's like you go down too far, and it's like, oh shit, there are guards coming up, so you back on yourself, and you realize, oh crap, we're being followed by guards the other way. So you then go and open a gate somehow. And then walk into a crowd of patients that are just sort of milling about for some reason.
Right, yeah.
And then, for some reason, then the gate gets locked or something and no one can escape. Like, why are they just milling around in this corridor? And then, of course, people turn up and shoot them all.
Murderize them,
and it's like, but why were they all there just hanging about in a corridor? And as it turns out, the rooms either side of that corridor you can just get into pretty easily. It's like bits like that just... I was just sitting there going, wait, what? Seriously, what?
I don't think it really makes that much sense. Also, a lot of people on a horse. I don't know.
Yeah. There's a flaming man and a flaming horse and hover emo. Well,
Well, you know who that hovery guy is.
I guess, yeah. If you have any kind of Metal Gear knowledge. But,
Yeah.
But still, what the hell? Even by Metal Gear standards, what the hell?
Yep, that's crazy. But going forward from there, yeah, I don't know. I think I
really
read
want
one.
D-Dog.
I've managed to get D-Dog, and at first I was like, I really wanted him, and then I was like, I wasn't sure at first because it's a bit weird having him hanging out while you're trying to be stealthy and stuff. But not that he upsets the stealth, because he doesn't.
No, he
but
doesn't get spotted,
at first
does he?
it's a bit strange. He does get sort of spotted, but it doesn't affect you. Like if they come right up next to him. But actually, his ability is so cool of spotting enemies and stuff, and it's just I'm using him now. So, and you can infinite run, which is hilarious and stupid, but
Oh, yeah.
awesome. The fact that you can infinite sprint, like, so you don't really need D-Horse unless you want to go super fast, even in Afghanistan necessarily.
But no,
Or
I
you
guess
can just
D-Horse
find
is
it-
useful if you're running from the skulls
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
during those sequences where you don't have a great deal of choice.
Yeah, you definitely need D-Horse for that. Yeah. But yeah,
But then I guess sometimes you don't know that's going to come up, and then maybe, yeah.
I'm trying to work out if I can use Quiet non-lethally and get her some experience by using her as a scout rather than a... I'm not sure if I can do it without her murdering people. I need to look it up.
Whether or not the is it the buddy trust
Yeah,
bar goes up.
yeah. I need to figure that out. Because I'm going for no kills. Apparently I have killed people according to the stats screen, but only like a few. I'm not sure how I managed that, but yeah.
Accidental caught in an explosion. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Fulton fails. Does that count as a kill?
Yeah, that probably counts. Yeah, that's unfortunate. I haven't I need to upgrade my shit, basically. I never have enough staff, and but whenever I Fulton people, the guy's always like, you want to extract him? And I'm like, well, I don't know.
Yeah, as if to say,
I hate
as if
that
to say
message.
what, you
It's
think
really
he's a bad
annoying.
guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is quite
I
annoying.
wish that would...
I mean, a lot of the incidental stuff plays too much.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, the fact that the Ocelot's like, oh, press this button and we'll give you some intel. And then, every single soldier in Afghanistan, he says the same thing. Like, it's a
Yeah.
Soviet soldier and some crap about, them being from Russia or something.
I kept accidentally getting him to give me intel on ravens.
Nice.
It's like I'm not quite. There just happened to be a raven in the shot, and it's like, oh, so this is raven territory. And it's like, no, don't say this again.
Vulcan Raven.
It's raven territory.
There's no actual ocelots in the game, as far as I know. That would be cool.
Metal Gear. It's a crazy ass game.
It's
I
crazy.
like it.
Yeah.
It's it's a good. I'm playing it sort of couch style as well, so I'm feeding it to my telly and stuff. And it's good for that.
Yeah, it's good. I sort of tried mouse and keyboard at one point. I can't remember why. And that's fine, but I'm sticking with gamepad even though I've got the mouse and keyboard right there. So you can sort of go between, but it's not quite as slick as GTA 5, which is the best ever implementation of going immediately between gamepad and keyboard control. But yeah, I'm just sticking with the gamepad. Works fine for me.
Although you're not wrong, Kiefer Sutherland doesn't add anything to this.
No, he doesn't. He's not. I don't get why they didn't keep the old guy because he was fine.
Yeah.
I mean, he was good. I mean, it's a bit weird. That
Maybe Hideo knew he was going to get ousted or something, and was all like, "What do we do? I don't know. Let's just spend a shit ton of money on Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah,
Let's get my revenge in some financial way."
I don't think he's even a good casting. Even if he was putting everything into it, he doesn't seem like a kind of big boss type to me.
No, it doesn't really work for me.
No, but he doesn't really talk,
Awful,
so it's fine.
but I don't think it's He talked. There are plenty of moments already in the game where, especially when Ocelot's telling you about Afghanistan or something like that, and it's just like, why aren't you asking questions? You still know nothing about what's going on here. And
Yeah,
I guess
that's
later
true.
on it does come out that actually all of this is in. He was briefed on the trip over here, but you have to listen to it yourself in cassette tape form.
Right?
And
Yeah.
It's like, okay, maybe that sort of works, but you're still very quiet.
It's also a bit weird how because in Metal Gear Solid 3 and I guess other games and in the Solid Snake actor, what's his name? David Hayter, is it?
David Hayter.
Yeah. He played Big Boss as well. And that's a bit strange
Yes.
having like your dad sounding identical to you, but I guess there's precedent in that. But like, and I thought, well, maybe they've changed it because it's a bit weird having Solid Snake sound exactly the same as. I guess they're clones, aren't they? So it makes more sense. Like Solid Snake is a clone of Big Boss, so.
But then Liquid is as well, isn't he?
Yeah, and he has a weird accent, like a weird, not British bad guy accent. So you'd think he would sound the same if that logic held. But then I'm pretty sure that Huey Emmerich is the same voice as Otacon or Hal Emmerich in like, and he's in this game. Like,
Also, I think Ocelot is voiced by Troy Baker. Just saying.
Oh, really? Oh, that makes sense. Sounds like it.
Sounds a lot like Troy Baker.
Yeah. Yeah, I did read one Reddit comment that said that they managed the amazing feat of making Revolver Ocelot boring, which I think is sort of true, because in other games he's insane and amazing.
In fairness, I kind of prefer him to Miller at the moment. I find Miller really irritating.
Well, Miller's just an annoying...
Especially when he does his like weird, like, I don't know, like when you first bring him back or whatever, and he does his like speech, his mission statement thing on the helipad of Mother Base.
Yeah.
Whatever. And he just keeps going on, and you're just like, shut up, Kaz.
Well, he's just, I don't know. Yeah, I know what you mean. Ocelot's motivations are kind of more, I know he's supposed to be the slippery one or whatever, but they kind of make more sense than like Kaz and Big Boss. But there you go.
Yes.
I love how Kaz is like...
In a weird
Kaz
way,
and
like unlike
Paz.
the other Metal Gear games, it's just like, unlike the other Metal Gear games, the less you think about the story, the better it is in this case. And it's like, well, that's not very Metal Gear. Actually, Metal Gear is all about figuring out the oddness of everything. Whereas this one, so far, it's just been, you know what, the oddness is just bad.
It is, yeah. I agree. It's totally flipped because I don't think that, not that I've got all the way through it, but I don't think the story is that, or the characters are that good in this one, but the game is fucking amazing. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yes, I'm definitely going to carry on with this. It hasn't annoyed me enough yet, but I'm still enjoying discovering stuff and the oddities. And
well, I think the idea is that you just get more and more options the more and more shit you unlock. I just don't have that much research capability, even though I've been playing it for 26 hours, so that's kind of annoying. But there you go. I'll get there. I'll eventually unlock stuff. I mean, I unlocked the, like, because, what's his name? Dan from Dan Reichert kept going on about the Riot SMG, but I haven't even equipped it. I unlocked it, and I'm like, no, I'm just sticking with the with the pistol. Right? No, I use that to shoot out lights and stuff, so I need that.
Okay.
But I never use it for anything other than that. I just use the freaking trank pistol, and that's all I need, really.
Yeah, I want better trank guns. Or at least more ammo.
Yeah, more
ammo is my biggest problem.
Yeah.
Although you can just supply drop stuff in, but supply drops are quite expensive.
Yeah, you can do. I run out of C4 when I'm trying to blow up tanks and stuff. Turns out it takes like 3 lots. There's a side op where you have to blow up 2 tanks, or I don't know if it's a side op. I think it is a side op. It's just a very big one. But I tried to do it with C4, and it's like, beware, it takes like 3 packs of C4 if you haven't upgraded it to like blow up 1 tank, so it was kind of annoying. So I wanted to do it stealth, but anyway, finally managed it.
I suppose you could do one, run away, get a supply drop in.
Yeah, that's what I did. So I planted, 3 lots on one, ran away, got the supply drop, and then planted the other 4, whatever, and then blew them up.
I think maybe it's like things like that. I wonder if what like supply drops and stuff like that are things that they learned from Ground Zeroes as being irritating, right? Because in Ground Zeroes, you had to go find the buildings in which stuff was stored. Like, oh, this building's the rocket launcher building. If I'm going to try and do this, if I'm going to replay this mission and try and do it better, I better make sure to swing by this building. Supply drops just trivialize that. I do wonder, like, what the hell they're doing with their airspace in this game. It's just like let your helicopter just go wherever it wants. Yeah,
it's crazy. Like, you'd think the Russians would see it a fucking mile off with their radar and stuff. Like, it doesn't make any sense how you can just appear and you can literally land like in earshot of an enemy base and they don't even seem to care. It's quite weird.
It would make more sense if like And I can't believe I'm saying this in a way. If you just like you didn't have any of that deployment sequence, and you just appeared in your box where like a mail drop off point,
Yeah.
and that was how you deployed.
That was how you deploy. Well, the other thing about the airspace is the Fultoning, right? You must have like a freaking Hercules that's circling at 10,000 feet or
picks them
whatever.
up, though.
Oh, it is the helicopter, isn't it? Yeah,
It's the helicopter
Yeah.
that picks them up in this.
Yeah, it is.
Apparently,
Not
I
right,
read
but yeah.
somewhere that you can ride when you eventually get the ability to Fulton containers.
Yeah. I still
apparently
haven't
you can extract yourself by just riding one of those.
Oh, sweet. So just get in the container.
Just get on a container, Fulton it, and then just ride it to safety.
That's sweet. Oh, man. You
That'd be a great way of getting out of a mission, though.
I mean,
right?
there's no
Because
real
there's
reason why you shouldn't be able to Fulton yourself, is there? If you think about it.
No, I suppose not. No.
Yeah. Anyway.
I've heard some ridiculous stuff like what you can do with Fultons. Like I think like taking out a helicopter by parking a Jeep underneath it, starting the Fulton process on the Jeep, attaching a C4 to it,
Right.
and then as it gets wafted up, blow up the C4, and it will take the chopper out.
That's nice. God.
But so I can't help but wonder, it's like, do you need the C4? It won't just like hit the Jeep getting Fultoned upwards, just take the
Just blow it
helicopter
up.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Anyway.
Things to try.
It's not quite Just Cause 3 in that respect, but it's getting there.
No. Boy, it's a good game.
Right.
You been playing anything else?
No, other than Wipeout, no. I still have to do the last year of Grim Fandango, and I did play the start of an indie game, and I've now forgotten the fucking name of it. Undertale.
How unusual for you? Oh, right, that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone's been. Is that the sort of mother-based? Well, not mother. What's it called? Earthbound.
It kind of looks that way, I guess. Yeah. Anyway.
With the sort of like bullet dodging combat.
No, I haven't done. No, the combat is more like RPG style, but like you can do it non-lethally by kind of undermining the confidence of the monsters or something, or like knowing they're weak. Yeah, so it's great. It's pretty cool. Yeah. Check it out. Laura recommended it to me. She was showing it to me, so she was getting me to play it. So, but I will continue playing it.
I've heard a lot of good things about it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's come up from numerous online sources.
Yeah,
it's an interesting one.
So I shall report back on that one. Cool.
I feel that.
You want to go with what else you've been playing, Rob, and then we'll get to.
Shall I, or should we segue to Zach?
Yeah, we can segue to Zach.
Did you even play anything else? Because you played Metal Gear plenty.
I mean, technically, yes. Not like
there's Rocket League, I suppose.
Yeah,
but that's the same as always. That's like the TF2 conversation. It's like we've talked enough about Rocket League. Apart from we haven't really, because they're still putting stuff in it. I did notice that on the Rocket League front, when they did this last update, where they put in that new arena, which is slightly different.
Oh yeah, the Wasteland.
Yes. What also was in that patch is they took out Beach Ball and Time Warp out of the mutator rotation.
Oh really?
Which made sense for Beach Ball. I'm not sure about Time Warp. I didn't think that was quite such a flow breaker as Beach Ball was.
There was nothing really wrong with Time Warp. I mean, it's weird.
Yeah.
But, that's the point of the mutator mode. Oh, it's a shame about Beach Ball. I kind of enjoyed it. It was dumb, but I kind of enjoyed it.
It was fucking impossible. It took forever.
The ball was too big for the goal.
I don't think that was the main problem.
Maybe if they made the goals like twice the size.
I think the problem with Beach Ball is like it wasn't really like a beach ball. Because it wasn't like bouncy. You couldn't hit it and propel it. You had to be pushing it. It was like it was resistive to sideways motion.
Yeah, it felt heavy, didn't it?
Yeah, it's like it went up and down like a beach ball, but it didn't seem to go sideways.
But actually, if it was properly like a beach ball, it should like have wind resistance or something, right?
Yeah,
it
but you should still be able to hit
it
it initially fast, which is what it doesn't do. It's like the impact of the ball makes almost no effect. It's just the fact that your car continues to push it.
Yeah.
It pushes it forwards.
Maybe there's a way of tweaking that. Like, you just increase the ball speed or something. Or...
Yeah, maybe. That was weird anyway.
Yeah, so we've been doing that. There are two other things I could briefly talk about. I went back to Splatoon.
Okay.
Given that it's had a few updates
and
stuff like that. I think Splatoon has gained a problem.
Okay.
In the sense that I don't think anyone in Europe is playing it.
Right.
Because every time I've gone on for the last few times I've tried it, actually, I seem to end up in Japanese rooms, and my ping experience has not been good, which is a shame, because I think that's a really great game.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I can play it properly anymore.
Well, that was fun while it lasted.
Yeah, and they've just
annoying.
released the second of the new maps that they mentioned on the Nintendo Direct. So I haven't yet tried that yet, but and the only time I've managed to try what the other level was on Tower Control, which is, probably my least favourite of the ranked modes. And yeah, I didn't think that played that well in that scenario. I'd like to try it just as a normal turf war, but it's one of those things, you've got to catch it when it's on.
Yep. Still.
So I'll try it again. It may have just been a bad day. Maybe I was playing it at a time when no Europeans dared to splat.
I think by now they should have expanded how many maps are in the rotation at once.
I thought they were
something.
I thought they were going to do that, because obviously doing Splatfest they do that. They expand it to 3. Yeah, I really thought that was going to happen, but it hasn't yet. And maybe it won't, because as far as we know, this is the end of their current update schedule.
Yeah,
they haven't said any more than this. So who knows? Splatoon might be dead, which is a shame. But we'll see. I'll check back in with it before the end of the year. And the other thing I've played all the way through and done everything on was Grabbed by the Ghoulies as part of the Rare Replay collection.
Yeah. Okay.
That's a bad game.
Yeah.
And I played it all the way through, goddamn, because I had to. Like the completionist in me is just like, I've got to finish this now. I need those sweet stamps for Rare Replay to unlock videos and stuff. Oh boy, yeah. I don't know where to start with this one. It's in some respects, it is a very rare game, right? It's got some of the quirk, some of the humor, some of the visual design is there. I mean, in retrospect, they've done a pretty. I don't know how much of this is remastering work that they've done because this is the one original Xbox game that's in the Rare Replay collection, and they've made it run at 1080, and they've made it widescreen in places where widescreen makes sense, which actually creates some jarring transitions when it changes. But whatever, they've done that stuff. So I don't know how much work they've done cleaning up textures or how much other improvements they've done to it. But for an original Xbox game, if they haven't done a lot of work to it, it's a pretty good looking original Xbox game, has to be said. There's some good visual design there. There's some nice reflection work. There's some physics. So that aspect has to be commended. There's some nice sound in places. There's some stuff like that. But boy, is that game there's just nothing to it. It feels like it's like someone had an idea, ran with it, and then they just no, there's no way this is going to work. Oh man, we better crap something out. So what it ends up being is a sequence of linear rooms with combat challenges in them. Except the combat is garbage. It's so simplistic and so rubbish. So the only controls you have are left stick to move and right stick to punch in a certain direction. And A to occasionally pick stuff up, and that's all you have. And so the combat really falls down on some irritating enemy design. The fact that combat doesn't initiate immediately, like when you press the stick, you have to wait for an animation to play out before your punch lands. For instance, it's not instant or fast or fun like a DMC or a Bayonetta or something like that. It's it's a little bit, it's slow and sluggish and hard to get right, hard to time. And also you don't necessarily know what move your character is going to throw. Is it going to be a little kick? Is it going to be a punch? And therefore timing your moves to hit something at the right time is really kind of random. And some of the enemy designs rely on timing in order for you to get your attacks in. Yeah. So that just doesn't work.
No.
There's some enemies that go through phases where you just can't hit them, which is indicated by them being red for some reason. It doesn't make a great deal of sense in some places. And there's many occasions where they all move at your speed, so you can't really outrun them because they'll just path movement directly towards you. They'll just sit there. And of course, that means they'll just catch up with you eventually because they've got perfect precision on getting up to you. You know, it just doesn't work. And that's all this game is, really. It's just like you go from room to room, you do a combat challenge in each room, and you just keep going, and that's it. And the challenges get more and more arbitrary and awkward as you go on. Like, oh, in this room, filled with destructible environment stuff, you're not allowed to destroy a single pot. It's like, so you immediately fail that, and then the Grim Reaper turns up, who again just sets his sights on you and moves straight towards you with a death hand held out. That if he touches you, you just die instantly and have to replay that room. And you can sometimes. There are a couple of clever-ish challenges where you can use that to your advantage, where if he death touches an enemy, they'll die. And there are certain rooms where there are certain enemies that you can only kill with a certain weapon, but you might not have that weapon, so you have to use the Grim Reaper to kill them. But then that makes it a real crapshoot, because sometimes you have to try and kite enemies into each other, and then it might not plan out as you wanted. Even if you did the thing that you wanted to, then might not be able to run away because of the way things played out. It's just random. It just lacks that certain rare, game. It lacks Rare's talent for actually making games with gameplay. I don't know.
That kind of sucks.
Yeah, it's a weird outlier. And as it turns out, going through the credits, it's actually made by a lot of the core Rare team, like the people that are still there at Rare and have been there since the beginning. It's actually made by a lot of them. So I bet there must be more of a story to why this game is what it is, because it's just so underbaked. It's so not there.
I wonder generally about Rare and what the hell's happened.
Yeah, what happened since Microsoft took over? Just what happened? Don't get me wrong, they've made some good stuff, because after that, what was it? Viva Pinata was next?
Presumably.
Oh no, wait, Perfect Dark Zero was next.
Well, okay, technically.
Viva Pinata's a good game.
No, I hate to think what the achievements might be like on that.
No, well, they're just the Xbox 360 ones.
Well, yeah, but a lot of them signed.
Yeah, I think we got as far as doing 600 of the 1,000 of them. Well, 1,000 points worth of them on the original. And we never dabbled with Troubled in Paradise enough. I can't remember. Some of them are really awkward.
Yeah.
Get all of the pinatas, which I don't think we ever did. I think there are some we never discovered because the requirements are weird, and a lot of the secrets are odd. Like the thing about the three-headed snake.
Yeah.
Or the dragon. How the bloody hell do you get the dragon? How do you make that one egg crack? Yeah. Yeah, it's a weird-ass game. It's kind of eye-opening in a way, because it must have been at a time of great turmoil for Rare. And it's this is all they could do as a result of that. Yeah, what was going on? Also, there's a I think this is somewhat ironically named achievement called the Future of Gaming, and it's one of the core mechanics of this game is every now and then your character will get a super scary shock, which basically means, here, input all these buttons on screen real fast, otherwise your character will die from a heart attack.
Oh, God. That's insane.
It's bad. It's just bad. And the more I thought about it, the more it gets worse. There perhaps could have been a decent idea underneath there, but they just needed more. The mechanics needed tightening. The combat needed to be less crap. It's just bad. It's a real shame. I don't have anything more to say on that.
Cover the goodies.
Yep. It's just bad.
Other games.
I'm done.
Yeah, Rob's done.
It's time for Zach.
Apparently.
What have you been playing?
Well, I played some more Fallout 4, somewhat. Actually, quite a lot, because I started a new character.
Why?
Yes,
Have you finished your old character?
No, I hadn't got virtually anywhere through the main story, as far as I can tell. Well, I hadn't even got to the actual institute, which is maybe where the actual story starts to make sense, because it's sort of dumb how... I mean, it's dumb anyway because it's the classic, like, go, save your son, you must save your son, but first let's do all this other shit.
Yeah. It's a race against time.
Yes, it's not quite a race against time because you don't really know... Well, I guess you don't know whether it's a race against time. You just know your son is out there somewhere and you're like... Okay, I need to find him, but you don't know whether he's in any immediate danger or not.
In a way, that's fine, right? Like the setup for a long meandering story because you just don't know anything. He's out there somewhere.
Yeah, but you don't seem particularly worried about it.
Well, it's kind of hard to be in a way.
Well, the other trouble is that like your character doesn't put two and two together except when they do, and it's weirdly like abrupt because basically you're cryogenically frozen from the vault in the war and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Because, the vault is an experiment and all that shit, like all the vaults are. So you get cryogenically frozen for 200 years from before the war to after the war, and then you wake up, and your character is not really perturbed by that at all. It's just like, oh, well, I guess I'm 200 years in the future now, and the wasteland is all fucked up. And
better deal with this.
Yeah, doesn't really care that much. But then, like, so at the start of the game, you wake up midway through the cryosleep and you see opposite you there's like your spouse and your son, and the pod opens and they murder your spouse and your son gets taken away, and so it's like it's really obvious what the twist is, where it's like, well, obviously you go back into cryosleep for a period of time, and then when you wake up your son isn't going to be a baby any longer. It's like that's really incredibly obvious as a twist for this setup.
Spoiler that.
Not really. But so, like, initially when you come out and you start looking around the wasteland, you're like, I need to find my son. Every time you talk to someone, it's like your character is just like, I'm looking for a baby. And it's like, my infant son got stolen or whatever. And so it's like, well, okay, maybe your character hasn't put two and two together yet, even though the twist is obvious to the player. But then, like...
Maybe that's a narrative point, right? So you're sitting there squirming in your chair going, come on, man.
Well, maybe. But then you get to this town and you meet this detective guy who everyone loves. You've probably heard of him.
Is he the mysterious stranger?
No, he looks quite a lot like the mysterious stranger, apart from he's also a robot. But anyway.
Okay.
So you meet this detective guy and he gets on your case or whatever, and you want him to help you find your son.
Get off my case, man.
So you talk to him about what happened and like the cryogenic freezing and your son and the dudes who took your son and all that stuff. And then in that conversation, you say, like, I'm looking for this baby to him. And then once he realizes who the bad guys are, like he already knows of these bad guys, he says that he was seen recently with a 10-year-old child. And then, so the dialogue options that you get at that point are either you can either say, oh, it's probably someone else's kid, or you can say, that's obviously my son. That's right. But if you pick the that's obviously my son option, your character is suddenly like, holy shit, that's obviously my son. And the detective guy is like, no, you told me you were looking for a baby. It's just like...
So it goes back anyway.
Yeah, it's like it inverts where your character suddenly has the realization that where it's like, oh, maybe more time passed during the cryosleep. But then the other side of the conversation is like, no, you just told me it was a baby. So it's like it's really abrupt. And then wait, hang on. There's something about this that doesn't make a great deal of sense to me, because if it was a baby in cryosleep and then came out perhaps early, or something like that, does that mean someone would have had to have gone into the vault and just nicked the baby? Well, that's
and
what I
then
said.
Kind of left
that's
you
what
there.
happened. They kill your spouse and they take the baby. That's what I said. You're not just paying attention to that whole bit.
No, I wasn't.
You see it happen in front of you. But then, the mission after that, where you go and confront one of the bad guys, I guess, because this is quite early in the game, so it's obviously not the bad guy. You go and confront one of the bad guys, and when you talk to him, he's like...
Do they take your wife away, then?
No, they get killed.
Yeah, but...
In the cryopod, and then the cryopod closes again.
Yeah, but then if... He could have opened it up, right, and then looked at it and been like, oh, she's been dead a while. Or...
Well, you see it happen in front of you because you're partially awake during the cryo defrosting thing.
No, I'm just trying to work out if there was some other clue that he could have just looked at. And
well, since the cryopod closed again, I guess it suspended them back into the dead state at that moment or whatever.
Dead suspended.
I mean, they're still dead, but...
Yeah, but not rotting.
Yeah. But then, so you go and confront the dude you saw in that vault sequence, and you confront him, and he's he visibly looks slightly older, which is, a hint or whatever. But then he says, oh, your son, he wasn't what you were expecting. And at this point, you still haven't seen your son. You don't know anything about it. and your character doesn't respond to that phrase at all, it's like the game really doesn't know whether it wants you to know that your son is old or not.
Right.
It's just like it randomly throws bits of it about.
Well, that could have just been like a slight mess of like where they think conversations would have happened, or
Well, I was thinking that, but it doesn't really work like that because this is like the main storyline. It's like this all happens in the right order. You couldn't have like skipped ahead or anything,
right?
And you don't really find any other information from outside the main storyline that pertains to the main storyline, apart from vague things about like, oh, the Institute makes the Simps and the Simps are doing things.
Right. Okay. Gotcha.
So yeah, it's a bit dumb. It's like the story is kind of messed up as far as I've seen so far, and like badly acted, of course, as you would expect. But anyway, I made this second character, as I was saying at the start of this story. I made this second character because I thought my main character was kind of boring, because I made this main character like the way I would normally make a main character. I guess the same way I did in Fallout 3, where it's like stealth and rifles and hacking and lockpicking and crafting.
Similar to your Skyrim approach as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like it's the obvious way to play the game. But the trouble is now, because the perk tree is that weird way where it's like it's tied to your leveling up and you can choose which perks you want almost freely, but it's dependent on your stats and everything. Because of that, it doesn't really make you make as much interesting choices. Because like in Fallout 3, every time you leveled up, you'd have to choose between one of two perks.
Oh, right, yeah, and then you'd be locked out of the other one, right?
Yeah, and those perks were like slightly more interesting because of that, because it was making you progress in a certain way. Whereas in this, you can just choose what you want. So I like when I have stealth and lockpicking and hacking and rifles, it's like that's how I want to play the game, but it's not. It's like those are the quite basic perks.
As in, it's a method for success, but a very predictable method for success. Or
yeah, I guess. So on the second character, I was doing an also. The other reason I made the second character is because I wanted to see if VATS was viable or not.
Okay.
So I made a character specifically that went away from the way I was playing my main character and went into basically perception and luck, which is those together make you more capable in VATS, weirdly. So yeah, that's like a more interesting character. Is kind of the same. I mean, I'm still mostly going stealth and going for sneak attacks and stuff. But I don't have access to crafting, and I only have lockpicking and not hacking, which makes it slightly more awkward sometimes. But yeah, it's generally more interesting. The luck tree is funny, because it's just like weird triggered events mainly. Mysterious Stranger and criticals and
Mysterious Stranger
exploding into gibbage.
Mysterious Stranger is the most awesome thing.
Clearly. So yeah, I've played approximately to the same place I got on my main character with that second character now.
Okay.
More or less. Oh, and the other thing I was doing with my secondary character is you find like a Brotherhood of Steel scout party quite early on, and the Brotherhood of Steel is like one of the sub factions that you can sort of join and work for, like as a side part to the main story. And it's kind of weird that you meet them this early because you don't really know what the other factions are at that point.
Right, yeah.
So you just sort of naturally join them, I guess, because they're just dudes.
Does the game let you swap?
Well, supposedly you can basically work for all three up to a point, and then there's like a decision where it splits. Right. So I don't think there's anything. I don't think there's any reason not to do their missions initially, because then you could just like abort out of it later or something. Okay.
Whenever this obvious...
whenever this thing happens. So I wanted to... But on my main character, I hadn't chosen to join them initially, but I progressed the main story to a point where, like, more Brotherhood started turning up. Because this was, like, only a scout party, and now, like, the main giant airship has arrived or whatever. And I was like, well, this is weird, because then if I go talk to these guys, they're suddenly like, oh shit, we're not a scout party any longer. We need to go back to the airship and do things. And so on my main character, I went there and talked to them, and they're just like, you're now promoted to quite a high rank, just get the fuck on the airship. And I was like, well, that's weird, I haven't really done anything for you. So on my second character, I was trying to do it before I progressed the main story, and I was like, how does this play out if I actually do it before? Do it in the correct order, I guess.
Right.
And it makes slightly more sense.
That just reminded me, random aside,
Yeah.
bit of news we missed. The Valkyria Chronicles game got a name.
Yes, well, it sort of already had a name.
Well, that I don't even know what it is, to be honest. I can't remember. It's like Azure something or other.
Yeah.
But and they have shown a little bit more info came out that making it look a lot like an action RPG.
Yeah, it's not not really a Valkyria.
It's not a strategy game anymore.
Disappointing.
Yeah. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah.
Just while I remember.
So yeah, that's what I mainly did for that for. And I've also been experimenting with like, I wanted to see whether it was actually worth setting up like scavenger stations in your base, because it says on the scavenger station it's like it produces more scavenging output, which as far as I can tell is meant to like put resources into that base's storage over time. But it's kind of hard to notice. It's like sometimes you'll see like actual junk items appearing, like, oh look, there's a random cake pan in there that wasn't there before. And it's like, that makes sense.
Does it? Random cake pans?
But it's just like shit that people found.
Okay.
Is like what the idea of it seems to be. But I can't tell like how fast it's happening, so I've been setting up like a base which is only for scavenging. Whereas like I'm gonna put like as many scavenging stations as I can fit and have everyone do it and see how fast it actually produces. See whether it's worthwhile doing that. And I've also been making a ridiculous collection of power armor frames. I discovered like a really dumb trick, which is maybe not that unobvious. It's like quite obvious. But if you snipe the fusion core that's in the back of the power armor, the bit that powers it, you can see it as a target in VATS. If you snipe that, like, and do enough damage to it, it like ejects and forces the enemy to get out of the power armor.
Oh, right.
Which is actually quite a cool mechanic.
Does that mean you can nick the power armor?
Yeah, then you can steal the frame. Because
Yeah.
if you just kill an enemy who's in power armor, they fall over and then you can't use it any longer. I mean, you can steal the armor parts, but you can't use the frame.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
So, like, if you slice the fusion core out of it, they get out and it leaves it standing there, so you can potentially take it.
Yeah, but the enemy doesn't think to just pick up the core and put it back in.
Well, it explodes after it ejects,
Oh, okay.
which also does quite a lot of damage if anyone happens to be standing nearby, as a bonus. But, like, so I did that on this, like, raider who was wearing power armor. But the trouble with that is that, I don't know why, but for some reason that makes the power armor like illegal to get in, because it says steal, like on you know, like how Skyrim and all the other games, and like steal is like if it's owned by someone.
Even though it was a combatant.
Yeah, but A, it was a raider, and B, they're all dead.
Yeah.
Let me take this thing.
Weird. So did you get in trouble for that? Or?
Well, the thing is, like, so I had a companion with me, and if I got into that armor, it would be like, he doesn't like that because you stole it, obviously. But the weird thing about it was, like, you could order him to get into it, and he doesn't give a shit.
Oh, I see.
But unfortunately, even doing that doesn't reset the ownership. Like, if you tell him to get into it, and then later tell him to get out and try and get in it yourself, it's still registered as enemy, like steal.
Weird.
And I'm like, well, that's dumb. It doesn't really matter. I've got more than enough other power armor frames hanging around my base.
Like, theft of enemy things shouldn't really be theft, right?
Well, and also, I mean,
it's not like you're stealing off like the good citizens of
exactly.
Nuketown.
And if they're all dead, also,
oh yes,
that should revert ownership when someone dies.
Yeah, that sounds like a bug.
Yeah, it's slightly annoying. I mean, there used to be ways to sort of get around it in the other games. Like, you could sometimes reset the ownership by doing certain things, which is why I thought ordering my companion to get in it should have reset it.
Yeah.
But it didn't. So yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. I've been building up, like, I want a power armor frame for each, like, type of power armor, because it's cool just to have them standing around, like, full set.
Like a little museum.
Yeah. But the trouble is of course you don't find full sets of power armor. So my power armor at the moment has, like, I have a really good head and torso and right arm. I have a moderately good left arm and left leg. And then I have a really bad right leg that always just explodes immediately. Because I haven't found a single other right leg since the start of the game.
Oh,
the first one you get.
When you say explodes immediately, does that like have a crippling effect on the
No, it just means you lose the armor bonus of that part.
Right, so if you get shot in the leg, it's pretty bad.
Well, I don't know if it actually affects the actual damage. I guess it probably does, because limbs are important. But yeah, it contributes to your overall damage reduction, I suppose. So yeah, that's done. And that's Fallout. And then the other thing...
I'm not quite sure how you... I think we may have touched on this last time. I'm not sure how you feel about that game as a result of these stories.
But it's fine. I mean, it's like, there's a lot of stuff to do, which is probably the best thing about it, really.
It's a big game.
Yeah, you can always go and find another thing to explore.
I want to know what your kind of what you're going to put up for Game of the Year at this rate. Zach?
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
I think Zach's list is going to be interesting. I think it's going to differ from what we expect.
Well, the trouble is that, as always, we haven't played a lot of the same things.
Well, sure. We've gone for coverage this year.
But I just don't want. I just want to know what your Game of the Year is, Zeg. Really, I mean, given.
I've been toying with the idea of
like
maybe we should, like, as well as doing like the big Game of the Year list, maybe our individual shouts should have their own spots.
Let's just make that thing even longer.
Yeah, it's not much discussion though in our individual list, right?
Well, no,
you'll have your list by that point.
But that's part of what the actual main discussion is. We say our individual things in there as well.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
That's why I said Space Game that one time.
Yes.
Game of the Year.
So the other thing I did, which also has like a nice transition story from Fallout 4, I also got Just Cause 3.
Woo.
And the transitional story here is like I got both of them physically, like actual discs.
Oh right, like a box.
Yeah, like a box with a
Wow.
disc in it. So both these games are obviously built in Steam. Like they go through Steam, even if you have the disc, it's just like you put the code into Steam at some point.
Yeah.
And like when you put the disc in, a Steam window pops up and says, "Now we can install this thing."
Yeah.
So I got Fallout 4 first, and that was a singular DVD that wasn't even full. It was like 5 gigs. It's like that's not even close to being a full DVD.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you can get 8?
Yeah, like 8 is a standard, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I had got like this 5 gig disc. You put it in, it installs that, and then it downloads 20 gigs. And I was like, well, that's annoying and dumb.
That is quite funny. I mean, that puts the Master Chief Collection to shame a little bit, where it did like 40 odd gigs of install off the Blu-ray.
Yeah,
and then you had to download another 20 gigs for the multiplayer.
Yeah. So that was annoying and stupid. But then when Just Cause 3 turned up, yeah, that was interestingly kind of the opposite, because that comes on 5 DVDs.
Wow.
And you get all 5 DVDs, and that's the full install. It doesn't even download anything from Steam.
That's actually kind of cool.
Yeah, it's kind of rare.
Copies. I'm trying to think the last time I've heard that happen. Like, that might have been like Colin McRae 4, where that came on like 4 CDs.
Yeah. That was giant. But yeah, this is so basically Just Cause 3 is 50 gigs.
Jeez, that's big.
It's fucking gigantic.
Mm.
So that was the first thing that was interesting. I was like, oh, no problem with installing this here. Don't have to worry about my internet connection. Just 5 whole DVDs of installation. Which still took like an hour and a half, of course. Because you're copying off a free DVD at whatever speed that goes.
Yeah, that can't be quick.
No.
And you have to hang around because you have to swap the discs out every
you have to
10 minutes.
to swap those over. So yeah, I did that, got in there, got into Just Cause 3. The first thing that was interesting about Just Cause 3 was that it ran surprisingly well and looked pretty damn good.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of mixed reports.
Well,
about
basically, don't buy Just Cause 3 if you have an AMD graphics card.
Oh, really?
Because then you're fucked.
Oh, really?
It doesn't like AMD at all.
Wow, that's bad.
You get all kinds of horrible graphic errors where like half the ground textures disappear and, and then it just crashes.
That's pretty serious.
So yeah, they're trying to fix that, apparently. And like, there's, install the beta drivers for your graphics card and it might be better or maybe not or whatever.
Right.
But on my system, and NVIDIA, on the 670, which is just barely above the minimum recommended of 660.
Which is one of the reasons I didn't think to go for Just Cause, because I was like, I'm not sure I will be happy with this running at the minimum spec.
Well, as always, your system mysteriously seems slightly worse than mine in general somehow.
There is
even though we have exactly the same graphics card.
Pretty much.
But yeah, it looks pretty goddamn amazing and runs better than I would have expected almost, considering the huge amount of terrain and stuff there is.
I was about to say, you have to cap it at like 30 or something to get...
I don't fuck with frame rate, so it just does whatever. I haven't really noticed...
You have quite a you have a much better tolerance for that stuff than I do. So it's...
I haven't noticed it being framey, which means it's probably running around 30 most of the time, I imagine.
Just, I think the same as the console versions. I think they're 30.
Yeah. But yeah, it looks pretty fucking good considering.
It's a damn good looking game.
And it doesn't. It's not like it even defaults to like low or anything. Most of the settings are on high.
Oh, weird. You'd think like, did they just get their minimum spec wrong?
Yeah, I don't know. It kind of seems like it.
Or maybe it's relying on, as a lot of games more and more are, the onboard video memory, not necessarily the clock speed of the card.
Yeah, possibly.
And was it the 670s carry? Is it 2 gig?
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, probably that doesn't account for the explosions, basically, because a lot of people have been saying that like once there's big amounts of explosions, that's when it starts to get worse.
Right.
I mean, obviously.
Okay, so when you're sat in the countryside doing nothing, it's like everything's good.
Yeah, once it's a drawing landscape, it's fine. But I haven't really noticed it slow down with explosions either, so I'm probably okay with it. And yeah, it looks pretty goddamn amazing, and you know, it's a big open world, very big open world as it turns out. It's like gigantic. The funny thing about it is like the map, like when you zoom the map out, you start on like the smallest of. I don't know whether it's going to be the smallest and then the middle and then the largest in order, or whether it's smallest middle, like smallest largest middle in terms of like story progression.
Okay.
Yeah, through the land masses. But like you start on the smallest island, and as you zoom out the map, initially you zoom it out and it's like, oh, this island has like 7 provinces and it's like quite big, and you can zoom out and you're like, okay, that's the whole island. And then you keep zooming out and there's like another island that's like twice as big next to it. And you're like, fuck. Although the provinces on that island are comparatively a lot bigger as well.
Right.
Like they just cover more.
So it's still like 7 provinces, they're just bigger.
There's probably slightly more than 7 on that main island, but yeah, they're just bigger on average. But even so, it's like you start to zoom out and you're like, the whole island, and then there's just a bigger one right next to it.
Damn it. But then there's the even bigger one, right? The northernmost one is massive.
Well, that was the one I was talking about.
Oh, okay.
I think the other one is like middle size.
Okay.
But I think that one might be the more, because it was the same with Just Cause 2, I think that one might be the more built up one, like the more major cities on that one.
Yeah, like mainland, I guess.
Yeah. Like with the skyscrapers probably. Because
Right,
I haven't seen anything more than like,
the town.
you know, regular Mediterranean-ish towns so far. So yeah.
How much like Just Cause 2 is it?
Quite a lot. Well, the thing about it is, it's a lot like Fallout 4. It doesn't fuck around with any amount of tutorials, which is kind of jarring.
Right.
And I wanted almost like some in both of those games.
Right.
Because it's like, it doesn't really explain anything. It's like, you just go and you can fuck around, and you don't even have to do the main story missions. You can just fuck around as much as you want. Of course. Well, it makes more sense to do that in Just Cause, I guess. Because
Does it lock off the islands at all, or can you just go where you want?
I don't think it does. I mean, it's just a matter of getting there. It would take some time.
Okay.
Also, because you don't really have, you don't have fast travel, and you don't have very many vehicles unlocked at the start and all that kind of stuff.
But you do just get given the wingsuit, like, right at the start of the game. Right?
Yeah. I mean, well, they sort of had to do that because the parachute is really slow. I mean, that was always the case. I think it's actually slower in this one than Just Cause 2.
Maybe to make a bigger difference between the two modes.
Because you now have the wingsuit, they wanted the parachute to be like the slower but more controllable one, and the wingsuit for actually going fast. Trouble is, I suck at the wingsuit, so
right.
So a lot of the time, I'll just use the parachute anyway. I just can't get the hang of like, because the whole idea of the wingsuit is like you're naturally sort of always going downwards.
Yeah.
So when you're hooking onto the ground to pull yourself along to get more speed, you have to kind of remember to force yourself to pull up while you're doing that.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to automatically control. You have to do it yourself. It's not really as automatic as the parachute.
Okay.
Because like if you hook the ground with the parachute and you really, you're basically just always staying level.
Oh,
because that's just how that works.
Right.
Whereas with the wingsuit, you actually have to sort of pull up to counteract it pulling you down. So yeah, I haven't really got the hang of the wingsuit yet. I
quite like the and there'll probably be some points here for you to pull on, but I quite liked the Kotaku review of this because their major problem with the game was that, actually outside of blowing stuff up, there isn't a great deal else to it.
Yeah,
and then they illustrated the next point with a GIF of them just flying around going, but then there's this. and just flying around the countryside in a wingsuit, and they're like, and everything is okay.
I guess. I mean, I don't
They
know.
seem to really bloody love the wingsuit.
I think my problem maybe is that it feels almost like a Witcher situation where they might need to do another pass on the controls.
Oh, okay.
Like the car controls as well are also quite weird feeling.
Yeah, apparently they redid like all of the controls.
Well, yeah,
like,
I imagine
just started from scratch.
It does seem like they would have done. It's just like the car controls feel. I mean, you get used to it. It's still a bit tricky on like bikes and stuff, but it's like I would have said it almost feels like there's like mouse acceleration apart from on keyboard. It's like when you push the button, initially it doesn't seem to do anything, but if you hold it down at all, it's like whoop.
Oh, I see. Right. Sort of a fine line between turning a little bit and turning too much.
Yeah. It's like it's almost like keyboard acceleration. So I don't know about it. It's kind of it makes it feel heavy, but then also twitchy once you start turning, and that could be a problem with like the wingsuit as well.
Grand Theft Auto 4.
Yes, this could be a problem with the wingsuit as well because it's like if you're trying to make a small adjustment, it almost doesn't seem like it's doing anything. But if you go too far, like you're like wow, and you just sling all over the place.
Okay.
Which is annoying because like the wingsuit challenges where you're flying through rings.
Pilot wings.
Yeah, you're flying through the rings, but then there's like a smaller ring in the middle that gives you bonus points.
Okay.
So you have to be like really precise. Actually, all the challenges are quite difficult to score the high maximum score on, and the challenges is how you unlock the special equipment and stuff.
If there's one thing I seem to have noticed about this game is that I think it has more in common with Saints Row than I initially anticipated.
Right.
Like from the style of the challenge, from the challenge designs up to some of the presentation for like result screens and things like that.
Yeah.
There's quite a lot of it feels a very similar game.
Well, it's because I think the thing that makes it the most similar is that like graffiti style.
Oh yeah, maybe
Because it's like
gangster.
Yeah.
Gangster
Only
purple.
in this, it's like the resistance and their anti-government graffiti or whatever.
Mm.
And it also does this weird thing when you're liberating a town. As you go, you have to do like.
Also, you have to say "liberating" in quotes.
I don't know.
Liberating by blowing it up.
No, you barely touch the towns, really. I mean, I haven't. Well, I guess I haven't got into any of the bigger towns yet, but the largest thing I've seen is like a big old fuel tank. But those generally are inside the police station, which is like the major fortified compound of the town.
Oh, okay.
So that's the part that you do actually have to fight in. Because generally, what happens when you're liberating a town is like. You'll have the stuff that's around the town, like the speaker posts and the billboards and stuff that you just have to knock over, and that's fine. The statues. And then you have the police station where it has like occasionally fuel tanks and stuff, but the main idea is you go into the police station, open the gates so rebels can come in, and then just basically have a bit of a gun battle in there for a while. And then there's like a bar that fills up until you've killed enough of the police, I guess.
Okay, fine. A chaos meter almost.
Yes, almost. Not quite though.
Yeah.
But then, like, the last thing you do when you're liberating a town is, like, raise the flag. So, like, you take down the government flag and put up the rebel flag of this flag roll. And it does this really dumb, like, you get this camera angle where it's, like, looking up at you from below as you're, like, raising the flag above you, behind you, it's like a diagonal pole, not a vertical pole. So it, like, sticks off the side of the building. Mm. And you raise the flag up, and then the flag gets to the top, and then there's fireworks! For no apparent reason. But then as the fireworks start exploding, it, like, slows down, so it's like, whoo! And then the result screen pops up. It's like, that's really weird.
That's kind of cool though.
And like if you do a rebel drop when the rebel drop appears and like you open the crates, confetti comes out for no reason. Just like, okay, that's dumb.
This is how we do it in the Mediterranean. Everything's a party.
Yes, and one of the other weird things that I thought was funny is they did this in the other games, but like the government-controlled radio station or whatever, every time you liberate like a military base or an installation or whatever, the government radio comes on and makes up some propaganda bullshit about how it was a terrible eyesore, so they tore it down or whatever. The classic technique of propaganda radio. They've done that before. But for some reason, the radio DJ guy who's making these announcements is David Tennant.
Yep.
Is it?
Yeah.
Right.
But the thing is, like, I think it's literally David Tennant, because I'm not sure he's actually playing a character.
Oh, right. Okay.
What, David Tennant just being David
Like, he's been
Tennant?
captured by the regime and he's just...
Yeah, and he's just forced to do their radio reports.
Oh, that's weird.
Which is sort of weird, mainly because, like, you wouldn't have thought this, like, dictatorship would want a foreigner doing their propaganda.
Scotsman.
Because he refers to himself as a foreign celebrity as well.
Right.
But he hasn't referred to himself by name yet, so I'm still
Okay.
waiting to see if that'll turn up. But yeah, I thought it was kind of weird that they... Because normally you want the propaganda to be, like, someone from, like, a local. Because that gives it more weight.
Yeah.
And especially when you're, like, listening to the radio towers and they're saying, don't trust the foreign influencers and all that kind of classic dictator shit stuff. But yet this guy's on their radio.
Weird. That's very strange.
And it's like weird Scottish accent in the middle of the Mediterranean.
Yeah. That is very strange. Is David Tennant like a fan? How did they get him?
Who knows?
Do you have a question? Is he like is he like a big Just Cause 2 fan or something? It's like, I'd love to do the voice for your game. I don't care what, just give me a voice.
Yeah. I mean, they should just put him in as an actual character somehow.
Yeah.
That would be
Well, he has done more kind of voice stuff. Like, he does like the like narrator for the, W1A in 2012 and those BBC comedies, doesn't he? So I think he does voice work quite a bit.
I think he's done some, like, but that narration's a little bit different, right?
Yeah, I guess.
slightly.
Yeah, he's done, I'm sure he's done some nature stuff as well.
Yeah, he has. The thing is, though, if they put him in as a character, that would have been even more like Saints Row, because he would have been like that dude in Saints Row, the famous guy. What's his name? Fuck, I forgot.
Oh, well, Burt Reynolds.
Yeah, that's it. It would have basically been the equivalent, wouldn't it?
Oh, fucking Burt Reynolds.
Yeah.
That's possibly one of the best bits of that game.
Because it's like he's just himself in that game, isn't he?
Yeah, Burt Reynolds is Burt Reynolds.
I watched Boogie Nights the other day. I'd never seen it. Have you seen that, Rob? That's him, isn't it, Burt Reynolds?
Boogie Nights? I haven't seen Boogie Nights.
That was funny. It's quite good. Yep. He's good in it. Yeah. As a kind of porn baron type. As a kind of
I can see that.
Hugh
Is he wearing like
Hefner type.
Is he wearing like a 10-gallon hat? Oh.
No, it's more like dodgy Hugh Hefner style than dressing gowns and shit.
Okay. And dressing gowns and mustaches.
Yep.
Yeah.
The classic. So yeah. Oh, and there was one other thing. One thing that has been slightly annoying about Just Cause in terms of blowing shit up. You have to blow off all this shit to liberate everything. More so in the military bases, which can be a bit weird because it liberates the moment you destroy the last thing, and then all the enemies disappear and all the rebels just appear.
Oh, weird.
I mean, it's covered up by the result screen appearing.
Oh, okay.
So there's like a slow motion fade to result screen and then it just pops back
fine.
up, but then suddenly all the rebels are just standing there.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm okay with that.
But the thing about destroying everything in these military bases is it gives you a sidebar that shows you everything you've got to do in like a list. And if you pop up the map, you can see like slightly more descriptive instead of just icons. But the trouble is you can zoom the map in, but only so far, and then it shows you the icons of the things you've got to destroy. So the first problem is you can't really zoom in far enough for that to actually be useful.
Right.
It's like, oh, there's some icons vaguely in the vicinity of where I am. So that's not actually helpful. But the second problem is because a lot of these bases have verticality to them, which makes it a real pain in the ass to find things sometimes. Like, there was one base where there's basically these big vertical spires. And, like, up to this point, I'd been used to seeing fuel tanks on the ground. But in this base, there was a couple of fuel tanks that were attached to the side of the towers, like, halfway up.
No, weird.
So I looked for ages trying to find those, because it was like, oh, there's just an icon on the map, and I have no idea. I'm looking for them, and it was like, where the fuck are these things?
Fly a plane into the tower?
Well, that tower, like, the main structure of the tower isn't destructible, really.
Oh.
It's like that bit's solid. Other parts of it are destructible. But then equally, there's also occasional bases where there'll be, like, there's a cave that goes under this base, and maybe there's some things in there, and they're underground instead of up in the air.
Huh.
Which, like, I mean, they couldn't have just put it as, like, a heads-up display UI element, because that'd make it too easy, I guess. But it does kind of, like, break the flow sometimes, where you're in the middle of destroying all this shit in this enemy base, and you've destroyed most of it, and you've killed most of the guys, so you're not even really being shot at any longer. And then you're just sort of standing there looking around while the dramatic music is playing. You're like, where the fuck is this last thing? And then you spend 5 minutes just sort of wandering around the place trying to look for this last thing that's escaped you.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of ruins the dramatic flow of it slightly.
Yeah.
Maybe it should know, it's like, okay, you've pretty much done this, but you just need to destroy this one. I'll just show you where it is.
Yeah, it should just show you the last couple of things.
Because it's like, that's one of the things that, I suppose that's the other thing I've been playing a lot of. I'm still playing a lot of Halo 5.
Yeah, obviously.
It's one of the things Halo does at the start of the Warzone games is like when the first thing you have to do is clear out your own base.
Yeah.
And like after a while, it just highlights where the last few enemies are and stuff like that. It's like here, just deal with these guys, get on with it.
It even does that in Fallout 4. Like sometimes when you've got a mission to clear out an area, like it will just start tagging them on the compass at a certain point. The last few enemies.
Yeah. It's helpful. It's sort of an anti-frustration thing, isn't it? It's like, where's that last guy?
And equally, there's another sort of related problem to that in Just Cause Freeware. It's like when it does have like UI HUD highlights, they're just not far enough. Like sometimes it will be like, I can't find this thing because I'm standing at one end of the base and it's at the other, and I just haven't got close enough for the thing to highlight. And I'm like, that's kind of sucky. And also, speaking of the lack of tutorials thing, there's been a couple of cases where I just don't know what the fuck to do, particularly with like the randomly spawned missions that are just in the world.
Oh, the encounters.
Yeah, the encounter type things where you're just like, help these civilians. And so, I mean, there was one that was fairly funny where it's like, oh, this random civilian guy has run out of petrol in his car, tow him to the petrol station, which obviously is a great opportunity to use the tether. You tether him to your car and you tow him along. It's like, wow, that's actually a cool way of using that mechanic.
It's a neat idea, yeah.
Apart from the first one of those I saw, I was like, okay, park my car, attach tether to my car, attach tether to his car, jump in my car, drive, his car swings out, hits him, kills him. I'm like, oh. Apparently I have to be slightly more careful than that.
Can you just like use the terror retract button, or is that the same as brake?
No, I think it is a separate button, so you can just. But even then, it was just like I just accidentally swung it into. I was expecting him to go and get back into his car,
right?
Because that'd be the logical way that would progress, but he didn't. So I swung it into him by accident. He died. But yeah, there was another one where I just happened across a random rebel who was like, "I need to get this crate to the supply drop."
What if you could just take the car on at that point, actually? Sorry, like leave him alive, just like half a contact.
Well, I assume that was how that was meant to go.
Right.
He didn't seem to be making any move to get in any vehicle at that point. I found a random rebel who was like, I need to get this crate to the supply drop. And I was like, okay, it's a crate on the floor. What the fuck am I meant to do with that? So initially I was like, well, obviously I have to like attach it to a vehicle and just drag it wherever. So I like rebel dropped in a pickup truck, and I was like, "Oh, I can be fancy. If I use the tether retraction, I can pull it into the pickup bed like a actual real crate."
I see, that's clever.
Of course, that doesn't really work because the physics are like
it just sort of jams.
Yeah, it just like wobbles around and eventually pings out unless you keep the tether on it the whole time.
Right.
And then that kind of gets weird as well because for some reason having the tether in the back of the truck like fucks up the camera angle and makes it really, really zoomed out for some reason.
Weird.
Don't know what that's about. So I did that, and I got the thing in the back of the truck. And then I realised that I didn't know where the fuck I was taking this thing. Because as far as I could tell, it hadn't shown a UI element to tell me where to go. Like, the crate had a thing that said deliver on it. And I was like, after I'd driven around for a while in what I thought was the right direction, because I'd seen an icon on the map, and then I realised that icon wasn't related to this at all. And I was like, where the fuck am I taking this thing? And there was no other indication. So I was just like, well, fuck it, I guess. And then I just left.
Just quit that mission.
so it's like, those things are cool, except for... like, when they don't tell you what to do.
Weird.
Just slightly more direction.
It depends where the supply drop was, I guess.
Well, the weird thing about it was this had spawned on, like, an incredibly tiny island where there was only, like, one road. And there wasn't even any civilian vehicles, which is why I had to supply drop that truck in myself. So I don't know where it was intending for me to take that. I thought it was down at this rebel base that was, like, at the bottom of the cliff. So in the end, I was, like, using the tether to, like, monkey swing the crate down the side of the cliffs. And all kinds of ridiculous shit.
That's quite funny.
Because the tether retracting thing is, useful. You can sometimes use it. I found it's useful to when you're doing the destruction challenges, where it's like just like destroy everything as fast as possible, or whatever. Because that works on a combo system. Those destruction missions don't start until you destroy the first thing. So like the timer doesn't start until you initiate.
Yeah.
With whatever weapon you've been given. But what you can do is before you start the timer, you can just run. You still have access to your tether, but not like some other stuff. You still have your tether. So you can just run around and like tether a few things up. And then if your combo starts looking like it's going to drop, you can use the tether retraction to just cause some like minor destruction, like a satellite dish somewhere, just to keep the combo going. So you can use the tethers as like a backup to keep your combo going longer.
That's a good idea.
Or as an initiate, like if like one end of the base has some stuff, but the other end has stuff that's really far away, you can like use the tethers at the opposite end of the base to just get rid of those while you're busy at the other end. So yeah, you can use the tethers to do all kind of dumb shit like that. I haven't got the upgraded tethers though. That's what I really want, because the tether force isn't very strong initially. They break quite easily with the base version.
Oh, sure, but they like throw a jeep into a chopper yet? Or...
No, it's kind of they can't even pull over the propaganda tower things, the speaker poles, even with 4 tethers on it, because you can attach multiple tethers if you want.
Cool.
But it didn't seem to be enough. You could probably pull the individual speakers off, I guess, but there's 6 of them, so that wouldn't even work.
No.
So yeah.
So generally feeling there's a lot more smiles on your face regarding talking about this game.
Well, I mean, it's cool and it looks awesome and it explosions are fun.
Yep.
But there
almost
really
rage quality of explosion.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Those big fuel tanks explode pretty goddamn good.
Yeah, it's like finally we're
in a hostile waters fashion.
We've
Awesome.
finally got almost, with all these years of graphics improvements, we finally almost matched Hostile Waters.
Yep. But yeah, so there really isn't like much else to do. Is the thing. It's like you liberate the towns, you liberate the military bases, and then there's like a small scattering of random other thing. I mean, there's the challenges. That's fine. But then like the random collectibles, I guess they're called, even though they're not necessarily collectibles. They're all right. There's just not very many of them, but I think that's probably a good thing. Maybe it's like
collectibles.
It's like you don't want too many because then it gets like Assassin's Creed where it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I think maybe there's not actually enough.
I couldn't give a shit. Like, do they even do anything?
Well, some of them do. I mean, there's one of the types of collectible is like vintage parts, so you can unlock special vehicles and guns.
Okay. As long as they do, there's more to them if they do something, right? The collectibles I hate are the ones where they actually have zero purpose.
Yeah.
Or like audio logs.
I'm trying to remember what the other ones are. There's Rebel Shrines, which I think unlocks something. I think it's the churches that unlock from the Rebel Shrines. Well, something like that. And then there's stunt jumps, of course.
Yeah.
Those are actually pointless. Those don't appear to have anything linked to their unlock. It's just like, and it's also just like you drive up this dirt road and then there's just a random concrete ramp off the side of a cliff. It's like, what is that even meant to be? What would that be if construction was finished? Apparently nothing. It's just a ramp. You just drive off it and fly 1,000,000 miles and then jump the fuck out. Also, one more thing to bitch about, I guess, is I've been having problems with the controls. And I can't decide whether it's worth trying to play it on a controller. Because I really want to be able to aim and stuff really easily, which is why you play it with a mouse. Especially when I'm like tethering things together and stuff.
Sure.
That's just way easier with a mouse. But even though I reconfigured, like, you can rebind the keyboard controls per like vehicle type and all that. So you can have like individual settings within vehicles.
They've done it like Battlefield style, yeah.
But the trouble with it is that even then there's a lot of, I guess it's just like I haven't got used to it, but there's a lot of controls where I'm still doing the wrong thing. Because like when say you grapple onto a helicopter and you're like, and you're zipping towards it, normally if you just let it go, you end up in stunt position standing on the bottom of the helicopter upside down, which is obviously ridiculous.
Yeah.
But when you're zipping in, initially you zip into the door and then go into stunt position because if you hit E just as you arrive, you can immediately hijack it instead of going into stunt position. So like that's just how you can hijack it faster. But the trouble with that is that when you're attached to a zip line, the other control that happens when you push E is you go into wingsuit mode.
Right.
So what tends to happen is you'll push E slightly too early, wingsuit mode will toggle and the zip line will go, and then you just smack straight into the helicopter like an idiot. Which is really unhelpful.
It's quite funny.
And then the other control I haven't really got the hang of is you have to remember the different buttons for getting out of vehicles. Like when you're in a vehicle, particularly stuff like helicopters, so you press E to get in, obviously, that's fine. But if you press E to get out, you just get out, like you just fall.
Right.
Right.
which isn't very helpful. If you press space, that makes you go into stunt position, which is also not maybe helpful when you're trying to get out. If you hold space, you go out immediately into parachute, which is probably the one that you might want to do more often. So I always keep forgetting that, and I just push E, and then I'm just falling, and that's not actually helpful.
But then can't you just get your parachute out?
Sometimes, I don't know what it is, that like sometimes if you're injured and falling, it like prevents you from grappling or parachuting for a certain amount of time.
Or like if you're in sort of like a ragdoll mode.
Yeah, it's not exactly even ragdoll, you're just like in a curled up state or something. I don't know why it does that, it's kind of annoying.
Especially if you started it.
Yeah, especially if you initiate, it's like when you're jumping out of a helicopter by accident and you're like, fuck, I didn't want to do that, I want the parachute, but then you can't for several seconds as you're falling out of the sky.
Yeah.
Oh, and the other one that's always got me so far is until you unlock the upgrade, you can't land from the wingsuit. Like, if you're flying the wingsuit and you want to stop, you have to hit spacebar to go into the parachute, hit spacebar and close the parachute, and then you drop to the floor.
Oh, weird.
Whereas later on, it seems like there's an upgrade you can get for the wingsuit that will let you just hold down a button to stop and then fall, which will be much easier.
Yeah, you just want to be able to pull up, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You don't seem to be able to toggle the wingsuit off. Is the trouble without going into the parachute. So yeah, still a bit tricky. I'm still terrible at those wingsuits.
In a way, I'd sort of expect little things like that because there seems to be, when you're dealing with a game with so many possibilities.
Well, yeah, that is
control is always going to be the problem.
That is the thing about like having these whole 3 different like ways of travel built on top of each other. Where you've got cars, vehicles, and the parachute and the wingsuit, and then you have to be able to transition between them.
And multi-tether and the tether attract and all that stuff.
And you're constantly tethering between things.
Yeah,
wafting yourself around. It's crazy.
It does sound like there's a lot going on.
But yeah, there's a lot going on in like the way you play it, but maybe not so much in the actual goals. I guess it could get more complicated on these later islands. I mean, I don't know whether there'll be new mechanics to the objectives. I have seen, there's been the occasional military base where it's like there's also a commander who you have to kill, but that's just basically like there's one extra chopper that has a tie globe,
right,
or whatever. So maybe there will be slightly more mechanics than just blow everything up. I mean, there are occasional, like, the rebels are sending reinforcements, so you better go and open the gates or turn off the SAMs. And it's just like, that's... A, it's not really necessary, because you can probably handle the whole thing yourself, and B, it's not that much of an objective. You just grapple your way over there and hit a button.
Yeah.
So we'll see if it gets any more complicated. But even so, it's still pretty fun to just liberate things.
I also came up with possibly one of the best phrases I've heard in a while. Like, hey, once you've liberated a town and you want to blow it up again.
No, unliberate.
No, they call it reoppress.
Oh, reoppress. Yeah, I haven't got that yet. I think that's an end game thing. Might even be after the main story.
Oh, maybe, yeah. But I just like that. Like, I'm going to reoppress this town so I can blow it up again.
Oh, and you'll also be glad to know that the intro sequence uses that weird mix of Firestarter.
Oh, that's great. That's a great track.
It's actually in the game.
That's a great track.
Not just in the trailer.
I wonder if it was made for the game or if it's just like a licensed remix or something. Yeah. It's cool.
It's not much of an intro sequence. It's more like Borderlands, where it's just like, here's the characters, they say a line, their name appears, here's the next. It just does that for all the main characters while the Firestarter song plays. And that's that. And then you're standing on top of a plane firing an RPG.
Yep.
So that's there you go. That's Just Cause 3. I think I'll be continuing to play Fallout and that at the same time, really, because it's just a matter of whether I want to commit to a long stealthy thing in Fallout or whether I just need to blow shit up real quick.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's quite a good balance, actually. Like, you need something you can just drop in and blow stuff up at your leisure, really. Like, whereas Fallout seems to be designed for longer sessions. That's why I'm a little bit worried about when me sitting down to play Metal Gear. Metal Gear is so designed for longer
sessions. Yeah.
To the point where I've lost sleep some nights because it's just like, I just need to finish this goddamn mission, and it's taking me an hour longer than I thought it would.
Yeah. Of course, the problem with both Fallout 4 and Just Cause 3 is load times are not great, although that's probably partially my system. It's not like I've got an SSD or anything, so that's probably not helping, but still, quite long load times.
How much RAM do you have these days, Egg?
I don't remember. I think it's probably 8 gigs.
That's not so bad.
More than me because I'm running 6, and 8 should be fine.
Yeah, it's not normally a problem. Unless, of course, my system does that weird thing where the RAM just fills up over time.
Yeah.
That's just a memory leak, though, isn't it?
Well, it's not a memory leak of anything specific, though. That's the trouble with it, as I've discovered. It's like it's not linked to any, it's a memory leak. It's a memory leak of something, but it doesn't go away when you close everything. It's like it's a permanent memory leak. It's like it's reserved the memory, and even when the program's closed, it hasn't freed it again.
Windows doesn't deal with it properly. It does sound like an OS level problem. That.
Yeah, it's kind of annoying, but no, it's fine. It hasn't been so bad recently, but I just keep an eye on my widget, and when it gets to like 40%, I'm like, oh, it's probably time to restart. It's my solution to that wrong. And yeah, so that's that. I've got 2 ridiculously huge games that are taking up basically that entire partition now. God damn it. After I went to all the trouble to buy an external hard disk to move shit around.
I gotta think of a smaller game to play now that I'm done with grabbed by the fucking ghoulies.
Well, you know what's coming up that we all have to play, including you, Dan, god damn it.
Fast Racing Neo.
What?
That's coming up.
Don't know if I will. What is it?
Dirt Rally's coming out of early access.
Oh yeah, obviously,
of course.
I will actually play that. That's true.
Yeah, when that goes 1, I'll get stuck in.
Ideally, what I'm planning is I'm going to set up a league so we can actually
Oh, cool, yeah.
our times compared directly.
Man, you must be so much better than me by now, because we were pretty neck and neck when I was playing it. And then,
I don't know, Zach's really properly good at this now.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see. But
I'm going to suck real bad. I'm definitely going to be last.
The question about that league is, what car class do we go for? Because obviously I've seen all of them, and you guys you've seen like the 60s and 70s and maybe some of the 80s.
I haven't really played past the 70s, so I'm at a significant disadvantage.
Well, yeah, you haven't even seen all-wheel drive yet.
No.
So it's like, what do we go for?
I think I got about as far as Group B, and that was it.
Yeah, I'm thinking probably something like the R4 class, which has the Lancer in.
Just because the Lancer.
Well, they're all-wheel drive, but they're relatively slow. Like, because the Lancer is quite fat, so all the cars in that class are relatively...
That's the one with the Citroen in it as well.
Yeah, I think so. It's the Citroen and the Lancer, and I think one of the Fords. So yeah, that might be okay. Like, not too difficult, but like quite relatively fast, relatively modern.
The problem I have with a game like Dirt Rally is like finding the time where I can be bothered to get the wheel out.
Well,
I mean, I know my wheel's right under the desk, but even so, it's still just like, I've got to set this up, I've got to plug this out. I've got to move the couch into a position so my chair doesn't roll halfway across the room.
Yep.
Right. Well, I'm going to play with a gamepad, so that might, if you want to compete on a level play field, that might be. I don't know. Why do you use a wheel, Zach?
Yeah, I've got my.
I didn't know that. Why
don't
I
have tell me that they've fixed
can't buy those anymore
before?
Yeah, that's why we haven't done this before 1.8, because they're still midway through updating the physics and therefore the force feedback.
I was partially contemplating, because in theory I can use my 360 wheel with my wireless dongle.
Yeah.
I was contemplating maybe trying that instead to see if that's better or worse than the Sidewinder. But
yeah, we'll have to attempt that. And the other advantage of me setting up the league is that I can choose the track specifically, so there won't be any repeats. Theoretically, we could set up a league where we only do each of the long courses for each of the environments and just have that be it.
Man, those long ones kind of suck though if something goes wrong real quick.
Well, that's the other question is like, do I turn on no restarts?
Yeah.
Do we commit and just have like real rally times?
Proper pro. Oh boy, yeah, things would go real bad for me real quick. I tend to start. The problem with me is my stages start real bad.
Well, it's like if you get a puncher, it's like, do you commit? Or like, nowadays you can take the 1 minute 30 penalty to fix a puncher. But,
oh yeah, I saw that prompt at one point.
Yeah. I don't think it's ever been worthwhile for me.
No.
Even on the long stages, it's like I'll probably only lose 45 seconds for having a flat the entire way because I can handle it more or less.
Even if you can't turn left.
Yeah. I think 1 minute 30 is like not sufficiently short for me to do it. I mean, any shorter it wouldn't be realistic, I guess. Even changing a tire in 1 minute 30 is a pretty fucking good job.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
What's the best wheel to buy now if you had to buy one? Like, I mean, I don't mean
tech stuff, isn't it?
Probably one of those.
Thrustmaster.
Yeah,
Do you
Logitech or Thrustmaster is one of those. Trouble is, there's so many goddamn versions of those.
Oh yeah,
and they get expensive real quick if you go up the chain.
I think most of them are designed for like PlayStation now, aren't they? Like, in a weird way.
Yeah, but a lot of them are cross-compatible.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they're the two big players these days.
Driving Force GT. Oh no. Yeah, who knows?
I know when Sony do their Gran Turismo booths, it's always Logitech stuff.
Man, this one's got a clutch on it and pedal. It's got 3 pedals.
Yeah, I think GT supports clutches.
Well, so does Dirt Rally in theory.
No, really.
If you want to. Dirt Rally supports it all. You can have 8 shifters and clutches and handbrakes, individual handbrakes.
That looks pretty cool. I wonder if you can get a shifter for that, for the Logitech thing. Probably not. Anyway, great. Oh, no, you can. Drive Force shifter. There we go. That would be quite fun. But quite stupid. The shifter itself is 45 quid.
Yes. These sub-attachments are fairly ridiculous.
That's crazy. Was it the giant bomb line on racing wheels? It's like, those things are really cool. Don't buy one.
Yep, that's their classic. Don't buy a racing wheel.
Why did they say that? If they're cool?
I think it was just a running joke that started when Vinny was getting into the whole flight stick situation.
Yeah, it's just their stance on peripherals in general. It's like, those things are cool. Don't buy them.
Yeah.
Don't buy a racing.
It's true. But your ones have lasted for fucking 10 years or longer.
I know.
Yeah.
They're still going. There's still no problem with my Sidewinder.
Yeah.
Other than the squeaky pedals.
Yeah.
I've got a proper squeaky pedal problem. But
my one has one of the paddle buttons doesn't work very well. But that's okay because I never played manual anyway.
Yeah, all my buttons are fine. Well, yeah, you have a problem with your clasp, I suppose.
Well, yeah, technically. That's only a problem because and I lost a bit, but that was only really a problem because the tables are too thin.
Yeah, my clasp isn't great either, but it's just about good enough.
Oh, this Logitech one spins around 900 degrees.
Yep.
Whoa.
That's cool.
A lot of the modern steering wheels have actual degrees of rotation that's useful.
That's crazy.
Instead of like, what would you even say the Sidewinder's one is? It's like
40.
It's not a lot. It's like
more than
just over 100 or something in each direction.
It's probably like 120 or something.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not great, but in theory, like that's not too bad, right? Like maybe a little bit more would be nice. But...
Well, the thing is that it's like if you're used to it, it's fine.
Yeah.
If you don't think about it too much in terms of a real car, like when my dad tries to does it.
Yeah. And you're trying to turn it all the way around, then
yeah. If you're not used to the idea that like there's a small or like obviously the way you can set it up in Dirt Rally with like steering linearity or whatever, so you can configure it to be.
I mean, you'd kind of have to muck with that if you had one of these ridiculous like long range.
Well, the thing about
steering wheels.
The thing about the options in Dirt Rally is that in theory you can actually configure it to the correct degrees of rotation. Well, there's a specific option for like if you have a steering wheel that has a high degree of rotation, you can have it so that in it like uses the force feedback to soft lock.
Yeah.
So like on a per car basis, it uses the actual car's degrees of rotation.
Okay, that's cool.
Which is fairly ridiculous.
So that's kind of cool.
I don't know. That always seems crazy.
Wheels are crazy.
Too used to the ancient Sidewinder.
Yeah. I think with me, I have a sort of weird mental disconnect, like between using a wheel for games. Like I go about that very differently than if I'm sat behind the wheel of an actual car.
Well,
yeah.
Right? Like it's like it's a very different thing. Like, I'm used to the super high sensitivity of the wheels on arcade machines or whatever. So it's just like, yeah.
Well, even on arcade machines can have quite high degrees of rotation sometimes.
They can, but even back in the day, like old Sega Rally days or something, you'd just be turning the wheel more to get a tiny amount of steering.
Yeah.
But even that, I think, is more sensitive than a car.
Yeah.
For the most part.
So yeah, that patch should come out probably this week in theory, if they're sticking to their timetable. Their last roadbook update on Friday didn't say anything about it, so they just said we're continuing to work on it. We'll tell you more news soon.
Yeah,
but their schedule says the 15th, so
I don't know.
they might make it. And then we'll see.
And is it will actually be version 1, or are they just going to call it like? We're not quite done. We're not happy yet. Let's go to 9.5.
I think they're committed to it being version 1, even though there's still potential for post updates.
Sure, just to get it out of early access or something.
Yeah. And Sweden.
And Sweden.
We'll see what the snow's like.
Yeah, but that's the thing, though, isn't it? Because Sweden lends itself to there being lots of updates afterwards because of the whole soft verge thing that we've talked about before. And
yeah, they wanted to put that into Monaco, but they're not going to be able to do it this time. Monaco, especially, is the one where they said that probably will happen, assuming we can backport it into the Monaco status.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe not so much on the other ones with the gravel verges, which is what I wanted them to sort of fix a bit.
Just a little bit. I just want the whole game feels too bumpy to me now. I don't know.
We'll see. We'll see what they do after release, as it stands.
Let's get peached.
Yep, let's get peached.
Right. Thanks for joining us, guys, for another Saladcast. And we'll catch you next time for, we're getting close to the Christmas times and the inevitable game of the year.
Boy, we ran long today.
Yep, we sure did.
Yeah, that's because, yeah. Okay, cool. We got one more before then, right? Before
probably, depending on when we decide to do
we can do game of the year wherever we want. It's fine.
So we'll catch you for that soon. Stay tuned. And
there's advantages to us doing it late, right? Because that means after
there's time.
The Crimbo period gives us a chance to catch up on our games.
Yeah, the Crimbo period potentially endows us with more games.
Indeed. Indeed. So stay tuned for all that. There's probably some videos going up for all I know.
Yep, there is.
And
I think the next one's going to be part 2 of Final Fantasy VIII.
Right, cool.
Within a week. Maybe.
It doesn't have me in it, so it's probably better. Okay.
I don't know about that.
Catch you next time. Bye.